gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Disasters happen, and Oregon faces a range of disaster threats, including earthquakes, floods, and storms. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be disaster ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
This week on the John Ankerberg Show,
imagine never knowing the gift of love, joy, peace, and hope found in God's Word. For many, that's reality. They long to read it, but can't. For example,
over the years, we've been working with Bible translators, but when they get done with the translation, the majority of the people can't read it. They're non-literate.
So how can we help them?
Join me for the John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
Help the Dove with much needed equipment for our remodel. Pray about giving to our spring boost. Thank you from the Dove.
Well, good morning to you. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove on this beautiful spring Tuesday morning. And the flowers are blooming and the sun is shining and Gary Bilden is here.
Good morning.
There he is, right there. Yep.
Yeah, we're all here.
Yep. Oh, hop along myself here.
Yeah, you know, once you get settled in, you don't want to move much, do you?
No, you don't.
Pretty good.
So, you know, are you going to have to learn how to walk again?
I'm already, well...
I mean, you're on crutches now.
Yeah, you know, I think there's going to be a bit of that process coming up. So, yeah, Pam will stand in front of me and say, okay, come on, I'll catch you.
Oh, yeah.
You remember those?
Oh, yeah.
With the kids, I'll catch you.
Yeah, just, you're in the pool and she says, jump.
I say, how high? Thanks, man.
All right, good stuff all the way around. Good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. Beautiful weather. A lot going on in the news with the passing of the Pope and all the things that are going to go on at the Vatican over the next 2 weeks will be quite amazing, and we'll keep track of that. In the meantime, the world as the stomach turns.
Yes, very good. Yeah.
And so we have all that for you as well. Anything special?
Well, it is National Earth Day, and a lot of the things these days get politicized.
Yeah.
I think Earth Day has too.
Oh, yeah.
But, as followers of Christ, we are to be good stewards.
Absolutely.
And so we will take this to heart.
Yeah.
Promote ways to keep Earth healthy and our planet livable.
Okay.
Also, it is School Bus Driver Appreciation Day, recognizing all school bus drivers for taking care of our precious cargo during the school year. Did you ride a school bus at all?
Oh, gosh.
Did you?
Oh, yes.
All right.
It was like, it was its own life. For about a half hour to 45 minutes a day.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it had its own culture.
It did. Yes.
And it had a lot to do with the pecking order.
Oh boy, yeah.
Who sat in the back? Who sat in the front?
Right. I was in first grade when I started, so you know where you were in the pecking order on that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting too because in my school, I grew up on a farm and went to school from a farm in first grade, but I was in a little community school where it was first grade through high school.
See, we were kindergarten through second grade.
Okay, and so when we got on the bus, it was first graders through seniors in high school were on that bus.
Well, yeah.
So you sat as a kid and you watched all the big kids.
Oh, yeah.
And how they
The
acted.
dudes.
Yeah, the dudes and the chicks. So and you're right, there's quite a pecking order. And when you're first grade, you just shut up and sit down and watch. That's it.
Well, one quick story.
Okay.
We lived in the country too, so we had to wait on the levee road for the bus to come by, and it was cold and all that. But it was the day that it was Take Your Pet to School Day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so my sister, Sally, and I was really young at the time, and she decided to take Rodney, our Doberman Pinscher, to school.
Oh.
And it was a beautiful dog.
How did that go?
And my mother put a white collar on it, so it looked like it had a tuxedo on.
Okay.
Because they look like they're wearing one anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
So the dog gets on the bus, and they go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And about 2 hours later, the dog shows up at home.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah, the dog took off once it got to school.
Way.
I mean, it's quite a ways, too.
That's a smart dog.
And the dog had enough of school.
What was the dog's name?
Rodney.
Rodney.
Yeah.
Rodney
I'll
the
never forget.
Doberman.
Yeah, Rodney the
How
dog.
did that?
I don't know how he got that name, and I don't know where the dog came from. I was really young. From then on out, we had different types of dog labs and everything, But.
All right. Appreciate your school bus driver.
All right, give him a hug today or her a hug today.
Yeah, only one sweet thing to eat.
Yeah.
It's National Jelly Bean Day.
Oh.
Who can resist a handful of sweet jelly beans? Boston confectioner William Schraft made jelly beans popular during the Civil War. With their firm exterior, jelly beans were the first candy sold by the pound, and he encouraged his customers to send them to Union soldiers. In the 1930s, jelly beans became closely associated with Easter holiday thanks to their egg-like shape. However, confectioners make jelly beans available all year long now, so there's no excuse not to enjoy them. And of course, the 40th president of the United States, as Scotty just said, made jelly beans famous.
Yep.
That was Ronald Reagan. He enjoyed jelly beans. You know why he ate jelly beans? It's what he used to help quit smoking.
Oh.
Yeah, he started eating jelly beans. And in fact, the Herman Golditz Candy Company supplied red, white, and blue jelly beans for his inauguration in 1980. And at the time, the company didn't produce blue jelly beans, so they created a blueberry jelly bean for the first time, especially for the inauguration. And apparently it has stuck. So thinking of Ronald Reagan and jelly beans on this day, enjoy all the sugar you can.
All right, good stuff.
All right.
All right.
Oh, one last thing. I have a fun fact. Did you know that when tea started being sold in bags, it was intended to be removed from the bags by the customers, but they found it easier to brew the tea while still in the bag, so they continued to do it.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't supposed to. You weren't supposed to brew your tea in a bag. You're supposed to open it up and then you spit out the tea. Is that like coffee grounds?
I guess it is.
Huh?
But then they have these little.
They have those little like little mesh things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, enjoy your tea with your jelly beans.
I don't know. Being in the country, we spit a lot of things out.
It's true.
Okay, let's go to the weather quick.
An upper pressure ridge over the Pacific Northwest will keep things dry with warm days and clear skies. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy in mid-60s for Vancouver, Portland, and Wilsonville. Patchy frost, then sunny and 63 in McMinnville. Some patchy morning frost as we move down the Willamette Valley, otherwise sunny with daytime highs in the low 60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a light north wind. Sunny skies today across the central Oregon high desert with daytime high temperatures near 60 in Prineville and mid-50s for Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny with a high near 66. Sunny and windy along the Oregon coast with daytime highs in the mid to upper 50s for Port Orford and Brookings and near 60 in Coos Bay and Crescent City, California, with gusts up to 32 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid to upper 60s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland with lows in the mid to upper 30s. In the Klamath Basin, sunny and mid 60s with a light northwest wind. Into Northern California, sunny and mid to upper 60s around Wairika. Sunny and warm as we move south with high temperatures in the low to mid 80s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento. In the Bay Area, patchy fog before 8 a.m. for both Santa Rosa and Napa. Otherwise sunny with highs in the mid-70s. Mostly sunny in San Francisco with a high near 68. And today in San Jose, sunny and near 81. It's a snapshot of your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
All right, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That's our city, and give it 2 minutes and it'll be blue.
Yeah, it's getting light out there already.
Yeah, it's getting light out there. So
Well, we know in Matthew 7, it says, ask, it will be given to you, seek, and you will find, knock, and it will be opened to you. But what are you seeking? Here is Pastor Jack Graham teaching to seek those things that are pleasing to the Lord.
Now, look at verses 9 and 10. Look at it again. These are spiritual disciplines. For the fruit of the light is found in all that is good and right and true, and try to discern what is pleasing to the Lord. That is our motive. That is everything to us as believers, that we would please God and not live to please ourselves. And in order to do that, we exercise these spiritual disciplines. Fortify your faith with God's word. It's been said this book, the Bible, will either keep you from sin or sin will keep you from this book. Jesus said, sanctify them with thy truth. Psalm 119 and verse 11. How shall a young man cleanse his way? By giving attention, by paying attention to God's word. Again, your faith is like a muscle. When you exercise it, when you feed your body and your soul, feed the spirit, starve the flesh. Even Jesus himself, when he came against the onslaught and the attacks of Satan in the wilderness, he answered by drawing the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and he ran him through and defeated the devil in temptation.
true.
Yeah.
Do you have a verse that you can pull up when you're being tempted?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, there are a number, sure.
But you should have one that the moment you're tempted, that's the first verse you quote.
Oh, that's a good strategy.
And you know what mine is?
What?
It's 2 Corinthians 10. It says, bring all thoughts into captivity to the obedience of Christ.
All right.
So the moment a bad thought comes into your mind, bring all thoughts, good and bad, okay, to the authority of Christ.
Somebody in the audience just said, well, what bad thought came into your mind, Perry?
Listen, I'm just country enough.
Ken Davis was telling a story, and he said he was doing a home repair, and he hurt himself. And he said, I wanted to, a bad word came into my mind, and I wanted to say it, but I stopped. And he looked, and he says, I know, there's a whole bunch of people right now saying, what was the bad word, Ken? What was the bad word?
Yeah.
And he says, the one you're thinking of will do.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. That's good. I'll go with that.
Okay.
So whatever you were thinking there, Jerry, that's probably wasn't as bad as I was thinking.
Well, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Thank you.
All right, good morning to you. Well, let's take a look at some of the top stories today. This is an interesting twist of events. Well, how do you start this? Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, as you know, had to go out the back door for problems.
Yep.
Okay, and then he announces that he's going to run again.
Yeah.
Okay, which is kind of crazy because
is he going to run for mayor?
Yeah, he was going to run for mayor of New York.
Yeah.
Hochul, who's the governor, apparently has got a very low rating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, rightly so.
Well, in the meantime, poor old Governor Cuomo, former governor, can't shake it off because House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer announced yesterday that he's made a referral to the Department of Justice on Monday recommending that the former New York mayor, Andrew Cuomo, be charged with making false statements to Congress. And here's what Comer had to say.
Well, what we know is Governor Cuomo ordered contagious patients into nursing homes. He lied about it. Then he covered it up. And now he's threatening anyone who tries to cross him to get accountability. So we've already seen a scathing report out of the New York Attorney General's office where nursing home deaths were underreported by as much as 50%. So what the Oversight Committee wants is we want the truth. We want to know exactly how many deaths occurred at the nursing homes. We want to know what possessed Governor Cuomo to have this strategy with the contagious patients, and we want to make sure that this never happens again.
So, look, this is unraveling. In the meantime, the investigation in the lab in China is unraveling. That the whole COVID thing is
unraveling. Yeah.
I mean, from front to bottom.
Yes.
So we'll see where this goes. But I would say this pretty much tanks his ability to run for a higher office.
Yeah.
Only in New York can you get charged for corruption and run again.
Right. He also had some workplace issues that have reared its ugly head as well. Apparently some not so appropriate behaviors.
Well, it just piles up.
Yeah.
So, well, in the meantime, this is I bring this story to you with a little bit of fear and trembling. As you know, the president has been giving serious consideration of defunding NPR and public television.
Yes.
Well, you would think that NPR would get their act together.
Clean it up, yeah.
No.
Right. Oh, no.
They went after Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and created a fake news story that other anonymous sources, or that other anonymous communications got misused. Now, the White House is saying, look, the first one had no classified information in it, and 3 people lost their job over it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did NPR do? They came along and did it again and created this fake story against Hegseth that this happened again, going after him.
Okay.
Well, the press secretary of the White House just unraveled that story and called it for what it was and called it out in fake news. Now, Here's Hegseth responding a little bit to this, but I have a comment on the other side.
Okay.
The president stands strongly behind Secretary Hegseth, who is doing a phenomenal job leading the Pentagon. And this is what happens when the entire Pentagon is working against you and working against the monumental change that you are trying to implement. Secretary Hegseth was nominated for this position because he is standing up for the war fighter, the men and women in uniform who are putting their lives on the line to protect our country and our homeland. And unfortunately, there have been people at that building who don't like the change the secretary is trying to bring, so they are leaking and they are lying to the mainstream media. We've seen this game played before. They are lying about the Secretary of Defense. Let me reiterate, no classified information was shared in these chats, but you do have leakers who are leaking classified information, which is a crime, I will add. And so the administration and the president have taken a very strong stance against anyone who leaks, especially sensitive and classified information that can put our troops and our war fighters at risk. And you've seen the secretary has taken very strong action to rein in the leakers at the Pentagon, and he will continue to do so, I'm sure. The secretary is doing a tremendous job, and the president stands strongly behind him.
Okay, so these high-level people that don't like to change, that have been in the system for a long time and have morphed into wokeness and progressiveness, they have their allies in the media, and they thought NPR would be a perfect one to leak it to. So they leaked the lie, basically, is what they did. You know what will happen here?
Tell me.
The president just had enough. You can guarantee that NPR will be defunded.
Absolutely. Don't you think that NPR would check their behavior, knowing, that they're kind of in limbo right now?
Well, did you see the testimony of the head of the NPR in Congress when she was brought before?
Yeah, I did.
Investigate. It was really bad.
It was really bad.
Now, I say this a little bit in fear and trembling because I think NPR, some of its programming is very valuable. But they'll say, oh, we only receive 2 or 3% of our funding comes from the government. No, it doesn't. You can walk into any one of their facilities and it's built with the best equipment done by grants.
Right.
Okay, and so anyway,
I would say to them, honestly, if you're getting so little from the government, you won't miss it.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah,
why are you crying about it? But this is, gosh, all right. Well, 2026 is coming. That's midterm elections.
Okay.
People are lining up. Okay, this is going to be fun to watch. I think we're in this perpetual.
We're in a perpetual campaign cycle.
Perpetual election cycle.
Yep.
Well, the big one's going to be who's going to be the next governor of California.
Oh yeah.
Poor old Newsom. I mean, anything he touches falls apart.
Uh-oh.
I mean, in the meantime, Hollywood's leaving.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the smart people in Hollywood have had enough. They're gone. They're packing up and going.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, here's one out of the blue. No, let me say this. Here's one out of the red.
Okay.
Media personality Steve Hilton enters the California gubernatorial race.
Oh.
Here's a little bit of his campaign video.
In 2012, we moved to America, to California, the ultimate expression of America, the home of freedom, or it should be. I taught at Stanford University, started a company, wrote books, hosted a TV show. I lived the California dream. I raised my family here, made my life here, became an American. It was one of the proudest days of my life, but also a reminder of the madness, the masks, the lockdowns, the school closures. Look at these pictures, the chaos, the crime, the collapse of the California dream. This is not just any other state. California means to America what America means to the world. Let's make California the land of opportunity again. Great jobs, great homes, great kids. Let's make California an inspiration again. The very best of America. There's only one way to do that. We've got to end the one-party rule that got us into this mess. It's time to end the years of Democrat failure. It's time for a new future. That's why I'm running for governor. To make this beautiful state that we love so much truly golden again.
Wow.
Can you say Ronald Reagan?
Yeah. And isn't that interesting? Well, wouldn't it be interesting to hear a California governor with a Brit accent?
I think he's a player.
I think you're right.
He's a great communicator. He gets it. He understands it. He wrote. He did a author of a book called Califailure.
Califailure. Okay. Oh wow.
And he points out all the things. If he runs, and he's in, and he starts playing that video with hope and rebuilding and make it great again, he most likely will win.
Okay.
And it'll be a headache to Newsom to go to a higher office.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And now let me ask you this. Who do you think is going to line up on the progressive left side to run?
Well, everybody thinks it's going to be Kamala Harris, but she's polling really bad.
Is she really?
Yeah,
her
poll numbers are not good. Okay. I mean, you almost hope she does run.
Right, right.
You want her in a debate with him giving a word salad.
Yeah, and who else has name recognition in California?
Well, that's good.
Besides Kamala.
Ronald Reagan.
Okay. And now Steve Hilton.
I don't know. I mean, I'm born and raised there, been to the Capitol numerous times when I worked for the news outlet down there. And Ronald Reagan come in the studio. Pretty familiar with all that. The only thing I can say is that the blue grip on California and the blue grip on Oregon. Right. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I was in one of these committees that I belong on, and we were talking about this. And both these states have a crack in the windshield. We are probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 election cycles away, but they will turn because you can't afford to do this anymore. Yeah. And California has got to be rescued, especially Central California and the farming business. It has to be rescued, or we're going to be getting all of our tomatoes and potatoes from Chile.
Oh, yeah,
with no restrictions on what they spray on them.
Right, right.
Do
you when you look at your bags of food, where country of origin, and you see that it comes from someplace else, does that run through your mind? What's on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day. I'm surprised we haven't heard more from RFK Jr. on health reform.
Yes.
I know he's working behind the scenes, but when you start uncovering this stuff, why is the cancer rate at epidemic proportions in the United States?
Right.
You've got to ask yourself something. Something happened.
Something happened.
But back to California. Gosh, I really hope that this is the positive message. He's spot on. Yeah. He could do it.
Yeah.
I don't know who would go after that. I mean, this guy's so polished. I don't know who could go after him.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah. Have you heard any rumblings on the Republican side if anybody else is thinking
I'm going to have Tom Baccaro on. He used to be the chairman of the state, Republican chairman of the state.
Oh, right.
So so he was He was chairman of California a couple of years after I was chairman of Oregon. So we both have the same dirty T-shirts. Okay. So, but he's a fun guy to talk to, and I think what we'll find out here is, I'll ask you a question: who on the White House could run?
Right. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Anyway, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Well, not you.
Not much. Not much.
I'm talking rhetorically. To all you folks out there, I got a perfect thought for you coming up when we get back.
All right.
Lord, you're the air that I breathe. It's who you are to me.
theDove.us, your place online to stay encouraged and informed. Enrich and grow your faith with reliable, inspiring content. Anywhere you are, you can stream the Dove TV's faith-based programming. Listen to the Dove Radio. Ask for prayer. Get the Word for You Today devotional. Plus, download the Dove app. Go to theDove.us, a trustworthy Christian media platform that will change your life forever. Make it yours today.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Worried that inflation might burst your retirement bubble? I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. Helping you navigate the stormy seas of retirement, Lighthouse stands tall as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today, 541-494-1034.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Here is an update on the Dove Spring Boost. Currently, we are at 60% of our goal to purchase much needed equipment for our station upgrade. Thank you for your generous support. We're not at goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. Thank you.
Happy Tuesday. Good morning to you. Nice day in the neighborhood. Beautiful weather out there. All right, I don't know what you're doing this weekend, but this could be a fun weekend for a lot of people. Here's a way this weekend to take one of the most beautiful spots on earth, and you can visit it free. This Saturday is National Parks Week, where you can get a free admission to any of the national parks, including our own Crater Lake. So you can go to the John Day Fossil Beds, you can go to Crater Lake, Tule Lake, Lewis Clark, the Lava Beds, Oregon Caves, Sequoia King Canyon, Yosemite, Death Valley, just to mention a few. And this is the weekend, the week where you can go this week and visit these beautiful places without paying.
How about that?
You know, when you visit them, you have to say something. You have to say, I'm glad we protected them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad for the National Park Service. Because some of this stuff is so pristine and so beautiful and unique. All of them are different. So,
and of course, the National Park System basically started by Theodore Roosevelt.
That's right.
Yeah.
Riding his moose.
Yeah. His bull moose.
His bull moose.
Oh, that's
well,
good.
kind of, sort of.
That's good. Yeah.
All right. So, have you ever been to Yosemite?
You know what? I've never actually been in Yosemite. I skied Badger Pass, which is right at the gate of Yosemite. Yeah, a lot. But I've never been in there and seen Half Dome.
It's been years. I was there we went there a couple of times when I was a kid. And they don't do it anymore, but it's called the Great Firefall.
Oh, yeah.
And they build this big fire up on the top of the mountain on the rock.
Right.
And then at night they took a bulldozer and pushed it over the edge.
Well, that'll way start a national forest.
Well, they're not doing that anymore.
Okay,
but,
yeah, no kidding.
But in those days, it was pretty amazing to see.
Yellowstone's a national park, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
And went there when I was a kid. Went there.
Yeah, been there.
When the bears actually get up on the side of your car.
Well, you know what?
You're not supposed to feed the bears.
Right, but we see a lot of YouTube video of people, especially in Yellowstone, and they decide they're going to feed the buffalo and moose and things like that. And he's lucky there haven't been, more injuries there.
No, there's this picture where they had a stuffed bear out in the woods.
Oh, no.
It was right outside the main lodge. And so people would go out there and take their picture with us.
Oh, okay.
So there's this picture with my dad laying on the ground with his hand in the bear's mouth, and he's got a log trying to get and then there's a picture of me on that bear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but we were driving along. My dad, I'll never forget, he had this old Pontiac, and you'd roll down your windows about 5 or 6 inches and feed bear gum.
Oh, really? No
well, you don't do that now. But
yeah.
In those days, you'd feed. And the problem is when they came down off the car.
Yes.
They'd scratch your car and take your mirror off. Yeah. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, enjoy National Parks Day.
Yeah. All right. The National Park
Weekend. Yes.
All right. Check it out. All right. Take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's going on out there. Severe clear up and down the West Coast. And, enjoy this because it's going to be warm. I say warm, nice.
Yeah.
Then it's going to cool down a little bit. Yeah. And we could see some showers by the weekend.
Well, it's springtime.
It is springtime.
Absolutely.
Just wait 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's a guy we like to hear from, Steve Forbes, and he talks to Fox Business about a few things: inflation, Trump taking over the Fed, and the weakening dollar.
The big thing right now is with China, with those 145, 245, pick a number of tariffs that are out there. I don't think you're seeing a lot of inventory and buying from that. They're all waiting to see if those rates can be reduced. But in terms of the tariffs that have already been in there and the uncertainty that it's created, there has been people buying in advance. And so if we don't get this thing resolved in the next 90 days, you're going to see prices having to go up because people aren't going to stop trading, and they're going to have to buy certain things. And so how the president's supposed to get massive trade deals done in the next 90 days, we'll see. I think you're going to see a lot of cases where there'll be some deals, they'll highlight it and give extensions to the others. But the uncertainty is a killer, and people are holding back. So I don't know what effect that'll have overall on prices, but it will lead to a slow economy, perhaps a recessionary economy unnecessarily. Well, we haven't had a Federal Reserve president fired by a president since the early 1950s. And but it can be done if the president wants to have it done. Eventually, he can force the man out, Powell out. But the thing is, what do you do with the Fed when you get it? And unfortunately, the Federal Reserve does not know much about inflation. It thinks prosperity causes inflation. The whole way the Fed is modeled, the way they do monetary policy is wrong. So what are you going to do with the Fed? Lowering interest rates isn't going to cure what tariffs are doing and the uncertainty it's creating, the prices that it's raising with the economy. The Fed can determine the value of the dollar and focus on that, but there's nothing they can do about the rest of the inflation that is being introduced now. It's hugely concerning, especially the price of gold tipping over $3,400 an ounce. That means the dollar is weakening, and that always leads to future inflation. Since 2023, the gold's gone from $1,800 to $3,400 an ounce. That's a sure sign we're going to have a weak dollar ahead, which means ultimately turbulence and higher prices in the marketplace. Just look at the 1970s, and we can see where that leads unless something is done about it now. But I don't see any sign that the authorities have any idea constructively of what to do, sadly.
Okay. Wow. This is a guy that I have high regard for. Now, he said this yesterday, and the market tanked. So the market was paying attention to what he had to say. There's some takeaways in this. 90 days. He put a 90-day period in there that the president has to make these deals to get things turned around. We also know that the president has already withdrawn a lot of these tariffs and brought back to a minimum 10%. But I think he's making some very good points. Let me ask you a simple question. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Has gas gone down in Oregon?
No. Nope.
It has not gone down. And the problem with that is a sheer indicator that everything else hasn't not gone down yet.
Right.
Because everything is delivered.
Yes. Yeah, true.
And so until the price of energy goes down, you have a problem. So somewhere along the line, this Trump-onomic thing is going to have to kick in faster than I think he's anticipating, because he's really on a critical edge. And you know the left's out there waiting for it to fail because they sell failure. It's called fear. But I think Steve Forbes is making a good point here, and that is, where is the balance in this? Now, the president's been yelling at the feds to lower the interest rates. And Powell's having a hard go with this guy. He doesn't like him.
Yeah,
they don't like
right,
each other.
Right.
And is it going to be a tug-of-war between the two?
Yeah.
At the cost of the American consumer.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So I don't know where this is going to go. I think Steve Forbes is waving a yellow flag here.
Yeah,
And I think we ought to take it seriously.
Yeah, and he makes a good point there. If you fire Powell, who do you go to?
Well, you find somebody of like-minded, but to his point, the feds have never gotten it right.
Yeah.
Okay, the feds are always ahead or behind the game. They're never. It's kind of like OSHA tells you how to build a building, but they never built anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I say that respectfully, but the point being is, you have these agencies running things that don't know what it is to do what they supposedly are telling you to do.
Right. Hey, I tell you, we had OSHA come up to inspect my septic system. And I had a problem with my septic system. I had it all pulled out. The pump was out. Everything was laying on the yard. And I had to go get into Medford to get a part for this before OSHA come out and inspects it. So I run into Medford. I get the part. And, I mean, my pieces are laying out on the yard. My manhole cover for my septic is open. And I get to cross my bridge, and at the bottom of my driveway, I see this OSHA car coming down, this official car. And the guy's early. He's already been up there. And he comes. I pull over to the side of the driveway, and he comes down. It's a young guy, and he's dressed nice and everything. You know, you don't think he's out going to inspect a septic system. He rolls down the window, and I look, and I said, "You're earlier than I expected." He goes, "Yeah, my day's quicker, so I got out here quick." And I said, "Okay." And I looked, and he didn't say anything. I said, "How did we do?" And he goes, "Oh, you passed." I went, "Oh, thank you." And he drove away, and I thought, "Passed? I'm in pieces all over. What did he look at?"
Well,
but it cost me like $550 he got the fee.
I want to say this respectfully. Don't get me wrong. I think we ought to have standards.
Yes.
I believe in standards because with it, buildings collapse and earthquakes. Okay, so you got to have standards. But when you get to the feds and you get to some of these agencies, and let's face it, this is what's going on in our legislature. They're passing bills on businesses by people who have never ran a business or work in a business.
Right, and that's what I thought when this inspector came out. Have you ever done this before?
No.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway. Boy, we just vented a lot.
I know.
So what do we have to eat today?
Jelly beans.
Jelly beans.
At least they're sweet.
What's right about jelly beans?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back.
We want to see a change in the world out there. It's gotta start right here. It's gotta start right now. We're gonna start right here.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your windowsill, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
God's eternal power and divine nature are seen in creation. But in a world blinded by darkness, the Life Outdoors is here to pull back the veil. The mountains don't lie. Truth leads to Jesus. Wake the wild within.
Here is an update on the Dove Spring Boost. Currently, we are at 60% of our goal to purchase much-needed equipment for our station upgrade. Thank you for your generous support. We're not at goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. Thank you.
Okay, good morning to you. 23 minutes before the hour. Gabby and Gabbier.
Hey, some of the best parts of the show are during the break.
Gabby and Gabbier.
Yeah.
All right, let's check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thank you so much for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Ephraim Graham. We begin this busy Tuesday in the Middle East, where Israel is urging its citizens around the world to be pro-vigilant as pro-Palestinian groups are calling for a global day of rage. This comes as Israel continues to ramp up the war in Gaza. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl is on the story. She's reporting from Jerusalem.
Pro-Palestinian groups are calling for this day of rage today to protest the ongoing war in Gaza. Israeli officials warn that Jewish travelers around the world could be targeted and violently attacked, as they have been in recent months. They're advising travelers not to display Jewish symbols or signs and to stay away from protest areas. Here in the Middle East, in Gaza, Israel Defense Forces are launching what could be the final push against Hamas strongholds. Flares visible from Israel light up the night sky as the IDF prepares to strike enemy targets. The terrorists have been pushed into more isolated and shrinking enclaves. They're often hiding in the tent cities of Gaza's displaced civilians, putting those civilians at more risk than ever as the IDF goes after the terrorists.
Over the past 72 hours, Israel's Air Force has struck 200 terror targets across Gaza. Amongst those are launch and sniper posts, weapons depots, and terror compounds. Ground forces dismantled terror infrastructure in Rafah, Tel al-Sultan, and Shabora, uncovering weapons caches and eliminating several terrorists.
Even as Hamas announces its plans to recruit 30,000 new fighters, it's having trouble paying those already in the ranks. Hamas was making much of its money by stealing and then selling humanitarian aid, but that cash flow has been drying up since the IDF cut off aid deliveries several weeks ago. Some in Israel advocate ending the war to get the remaining hostages back. But Israel's prime minister says while the return of the hostages is a top priority and negotiations are still underway, Hamas must be crushed to prevent more hostages from being taken in the future.
If we do not complete the destruction of Hamas military and governmental capabilities, the next October 7 and the next kidnappings are only a matter of time. Hamas says they will do it, they intend to do it, and they're working to do it.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Continuing our coverage now, we are joined by our Middle East Bureau Chief, Chris Mitchell. So, Chris, let's begin with this. What is the latest on the hostage talks?
Well, Israel has proposed, Ephraim, but that's been rejected by Hamas. Their proposal was for a 45-day ceasefire, along with the release of 10 hostages, knowing that there are 59 hostages remaining. 24 of those apparently are still alive. But Hamas's conditions are that it insists that there be a permanent ceasefire, which basically means an end of the war. They want a complete Israeli withdrawal from all of Gaza. But as we saw in Julie's report, Israel is increasing its military campaign on Hamas, putting more pressure on Hamas to achieve the two goals of the war. First of all, that all the hostages would be released and that Hamas would be dismantled and no longer a threat to Israel.
Let's turn now to the talks between Iran and the United States. What's the status?
Well, the next meeting is scheduled to be this Saturday in Oman once again. The first one was in Oman, the second one in Rome. Right now, they're going to what called technical talks. That would be, setting limits on uranium enrichment, sanctions relief, and monitoring protocol. But Ephraim here, the concern in Israel is that this really sounds a lot like the negotiations back in 2015 when President Obama negotiated what's called the JCPOA. What Israel wants is what they call the Libyan model. That would be as what happened in Libya back in 2003 and 4. The destruction of the total nuclear infrastructure, as Netanyahu said in a speech last Friday. He said there's not 1 millimeter change in their goals. They want a complete destruction of that nuclear sites, either voluntarily or by military action. And as I said, the third meeting will be back in Oman this Saturday, but Israel will be watching very closely to see how those talks progress.
Okay, one day at a time. All right, 18 minutes before the hour. Let's check out the weather with old Mr. Jelly Bean himself.
An upper pressure ridge over the Pacific Northwest will keep things dry with warm days and clear skies. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy in mid-60s for Vancouver, Portland, and Wilsonville. Patchy frost, then sunny and 63 in McMinnville. Some patchy morning frost as we move down the Willamette Valley, otherwise sunny with daytime highs in the low 60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a light north wind. Sunny skies today across the central Oregon high desert with daytime high temperatures near 60 in Prineville and mid-50s for Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny with a high near 66. Sunny and windy along the Oregon coast with daytime highs in the mid to upper 50s for Port Orford and Brookings and near 60 in Coos Bay and Crescent City, California, with gusts up to 32 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid to upper 60s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland with lows in the mid to upper 30s. In the Klamath Basin, sunny and mid 60s with a light northwest wind. Into Northern California, sunny and mid to upper 60s around Wairika. Sunny and warm as we move south with high temperatures in the low to mid 80s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento. In the Bay Area, patchy fog before 8 a.m. for both Santa Rosa and Napa, otherwise sunny with highs in the mid 70s. Mostly sunny in San Francisco with a high near 68. And today in San Jose, sunny and near 81. It's a snapshot of your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
All right, beautiful shot of the Rogue Valley this morning and the shadow out over the valley from the east side hills. So give it another 20 minutes and it'll be all sunshine.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you know, it was on this day in history that a statement of faith to appear on U.S. currency was passed by Congress. On April 22, 1864, as the Civil War raged and the nation's soul hung in the balance, the U.S. Congress passed a quiet but powerful piece of legislation, the Coinage Act of 1864. It authorized something new for America's currency, the inscription, "In God We Trust." The country was bruised and broken, and many believed it was divine guidance that would heal it. So when the first 1 cent and 2 cent coins were minted bearing those words, they were more than metal, they were hope pressed in copper. The following year, legislation was passed allowing the inscription to be put on all gold and silver coins. Much wider adoption of the phrase "In God We Trust" followed in the 1950s, and the first postage stamps with the motto appeared in 1954. A law passed in July of 1955 by a joint resolution of Congress and approved by President Dwight Eisenhower requires that "In God We Trust" appear on all American currency. In 1956, "In God We Trust" replaced "E Pluribus Unum" as our national motto. Well, yeah. And I'm glad it did. What does "E Pluribus Unum" mean?
I knew you were going to ask that.
We know what "In God We Trust" means.
I'm having a complete brain freeze.
Yeah, I had to look it up, man. So don't feel
everybody's
bad.
yelling at us right now.
Yeah. Out of many, one.
That's okay.
All right. Like I said, I looked it up.
I know you did.
Yeah.
Hamburger. But it's at the top of the Washington Monument facing east.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
okay.
That's pretty cool. All right. Well, listen, Edward Graham, that's one of the Franklin's boys, talking about the Pacific Palisades fire.
I'm in Palisades, California, And as many as you know, this community was just devastated by fires that destroyed hundreds of homes. I'm sitting here with the daughter of the homeowner, and the homeowner can't even come back. She doesn't want to see it right now. But talking with the daughter, we did her house yesterday. She lost her house as well. She spent her whole childhood here. They're broken, they're hurting. But this is why Samaritan's Purse, we go.
I'm really blown away by this organization. They went to my house that burned down yesterday, and my mom's here today. And I'm just really grateful for all the volunteers and the organization itself. I think it's changing the lives of not only the people that have lost everything, but the people that are donating their time. And I think I've just met so many amazing people, and they're all praying for us, and that means everything to me right now.
We've all been through storms of life, and Jesus has been what has gotten us through those storms. So when we come out here and volunteer, we're coming alongside them and saying, we don't know exactly what you've been through, but we've been through difficult things too, and God has gotten us through that.
I mean, people have come from all around the United States to come sift through the ashes to try to help us find any remnants of what still might be. And that has been so meaningful for me. It's really life-changing. It's really incredible to have all these volunteers give their time and hearts and prayers to us when we need it most.
We go with the equipment, we go with the volunteers because we want people to know they're not forsaken. They're not forgotten. Matter of fact, God loves them so much, He sent His only Son, Jesus. Everything that we're doing right here in California, we can't do it without your prayers. And so we appreciate it very much. If you ever want to volunteer and be part of Samaritan's Purse and what we do, you can go to spvolunteer.org or you go to SamaritansPurse.org. Figure out how to get involved in the drop-down menu, and you can sign up and be a part of something like this.
You sure can. Prayerfully consider that. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I know that you are good. I know that you are kind. I know that you are so much more.
The Dove Spring Boost is going on now. Here's an update on what's been raised. Currently, we're at 60% of our goal to purchase much-needed equipment for our station upgrade and remodel. Thank you for your generous giving and support. We can't do it without you. We're not at goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. You can call anytime or donate online safely at thedove.us. Thank you for supporting the Dove.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
The Bible says sin is pleasurable for a season, but afterwards comes death. So the devil comes, he offers his good wine, if you will, up front, and then you pay the price for it. God says, for you, the Christian, the best is yet to come. Just keep following me and trusting me, and you will see.
Okay, welcome back. Well, here we are, about 10 minutes before the hour. Well, if you were Prime Minister of Canada, what would you do?
Well, I would join the U.S. I would take Trump's deal.
Hello, Don. Yeah, we're on. No, I don't know. I don't know. Charlie Kirk, he's quite the guy. He's quite the apologist. He's out there.
Yeah.
And a hypothetical question was given to him by a student. What would you do? And here's his answer.
All right. I recently moved from Canada, and I can say one thing. America is great. And I'm wondering, what would you do if you were Prime Minister of Canada right now?
I would deport Justin Trudeau the first day in office. Canada's a real problem, man. I mean, because I would basically allow Alberta to become its own country.
I lived in Alberta too, so
yeah. Edmonton or
Calgary.
Yeah, the two best parts of Canada are Edmonton and Calgary. Beautiful country too. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Canada's a really screwed up country, and it's a self-hating country, as you well know, that prides itself on being polite. And this is a great lesson for those of us in the West, that your favorable characteristics of being polite, nice, and welcoming can also be your downfall. And you know that in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Super polite, okay, we're just going to allow a bunch of foreigners over on our country. Super polite, we're not going to allow anyone, we're not going to have free speech. Canada's got a big problem. It does not have this, the Constitution, so you do not have robust free speech protections. You do not have Second Amendment protections, so the government is able to do whatever they want. I wouldn't want to be Prime Minister of Canada. I wouldn't last very long. But between Ottawa, Toronto, and Vancouver, you have some of the most liberal cities on the planet, as you well know. Canada, I think, is bringing in like half of its population in the next decade in immigrants. It's just not sustainable.
I know.
And it's too bad. It was a once great country. Canada has fallen.
I know. I'm thankful that I moved here, though.
Do you have are you a citizen?
Yes.
Oh, good for you.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I was born in America, but then I moved to from California.
You won the lottery.
I know.
God bless,
All
man.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you
Glad
so
you're
much
here.
for your time.
Thank you.
Love Charlie Kirk. Man.
Yeah, good stuff. All
Yeah,
around.
very good stuff.
I didn't know he had, well, I guess he had the grasp of Canada far better than I thought.
Boy, I like his first answer. First thing I do is deport Justin Trudeau.
Oh, well.
Oh, and he had a good take. He says, yeah, Canada's a self-hating country.
Yeah, self-hating.
Oh, man.
Tom Del Beccaro will be back with a former chairman of the the California Republican Party, get all that straightened out. He wrote a book called Lessons of the American Citizen. He's quite the contributor to a lot of the outlets. He'll be talking about the passing of the Pope, and also we'll talk to him about, California.
California.
Yeah. That was the other one.
That was the other one. That's right. Guy who said he was Republican, but we're still wondering.
Well, he tried to redefine it, but I think he's eating humble pie right now.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, anyway, a lot coming up.
All right. Well, here's a great story about Drew Davis, a 19-year-old young man who is confined to a wheelchair with cerebral palsy, but it hasn't slowed him down as he's managed to start a successful hot sauce company named Crippling Hot Sauce.
My name's Drew, and I'm the founder of Crippling Hot Sauce, a comical spin on traditionally boring hot sauce brands. Born with cerebral palsy, I never knew quite what I was going to be able to do because my physical capabilities are limited at times. When I was 16 years old, I got a B- in a school business project. When I asked why I got the B, he said it was unrealistic. After that feedback, I decided to bring my school project to life and officially start Crippling Hot Sauce. And 18 months later, we've sold over 150,000 bottles. Not only is it a great tasting product, but we donate 5% to cerebral palsy research. I hope to inspire other people, no matter their circumstances, to pursue their dream because life is short. Join our mission at thecripplingcompany.com.
Check this out. In 2023, he put $3,000 of his own savings into launching Crippling Hot Sauce. And he did it from his parents' kitchen. Less than 2 years later, the brand has sold over 500,000 bottles, generated $2 million in 2024 alone. And this year, he's projected to hit $5 million in sales. How about that?
How's he? He must have a distributor.
Yeah, well, I don't know, and he's got different levels of heat in his hot sauce. That's a good thing.
Wow.
But I got to try it. Crippling Hot Sauce. I'm going to go online and get some.
Well, guess what? You guys are brothers right now.
Thanks for drawing the parallel.
Why don't you send him a picture of your leg and see if he sends you a variety of hosses to try on the air some morning?
I should do that.
First of all, send the picture of the one that shows the 2 plates and the 12 screws.
Oh gosh, yes.
Then show him the one with the cast.
Okay.
And then send him one with you and I on the set and say, hey, Send us a variety here. We'll
test it on air.
We'll test it on the air.
Yeah, why not? Oh, I love it.
Good stuff all the way around.
All right.
All right, great scripture for you today. Jeremiah 32:27. Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is anything too hard for me? No. The answer is no. All right, there's a beautiful shot of our beautiful home called the Rogue Valley. Enjoy the day. We'll be back in just a few.
Big ideas grow.
Thousands of satisfied customers make Jim Clark's Consignment Country the most recommended RV consignment lot on the West Coast. Even dealers recommend us. That success comes from dealing with only the cleanest pre-owned RVs at the best prices, no high-pressured salespeople, and treating customers with respect. And we've been doing this in the same location for over 40 years. Before you buy or sell your RV, see why so many satisfied customers recommend Jim Clark's Consignment Country. Family owned and operated at 1630 Rogue River Highway in Grants Pass.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why McKelly's is automotive service with a heart for God and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond. But that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
He couldn't detect two separate babies, like two separate sacs, for sure. And so he looked at me and said, "It's almost like they're conjoined." I was terrified. I was scared. That was a prayer that I also prayed, like, God, give me peace. Help me get through this, to know you gave me these girls and you knew from the beginning they were going to be conjoined, and I trust you.
Watch the 700 Club Tuesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV. The Dove Spring Boost pray about helping us reach our $128,000 goal during our remodel. Thank you from the Dove.
Okay, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove, where just about anything goes and usually does.
And it will, yeah.
And it will. Yeah. Good morning. That is Jerry Bilden right there.
Good morning.
He's now day number 6 back in the chair.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yes. No, 7.
7, yeah.
Today's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah. Woohoo! Day 7 back in the chair.
Yeah.
Supporting a broken right something.
And, you know, coming back here is kind of like riding a bike, except I've never really ridden a bike with one foot, but, you know, we're getting on.
Yeah.
We're getting on.
Well, you're doing pretty good. I have to say you're hobbling around here pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. You feeling all right? Got any pain?
I feel well, you know, by the end of the show, you know, and by the time I get home, I feel it. But no, you know what happens when we get going here? Mm-hmm. Adrenaline.
Yeah.
You know, adrenaline's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And that happens on this show.
So, Pam, don't believe the milking job on this thing. Put him on the riding
I said
lawnmower
when I get home, I start to feel a little rough.
Listen, I want to tell you something. If you can drive, you can ride the lawnmower.
Don't tell anybody I'm driving. You know what? That lawnmower thing is rearing its ugly head right now.
Well, the grass about this high.
Oh, about that high, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll come out and bale it for you.
But it's green.
That's green. Yeah, we call that ground cover.
Exactly.
All right, good morning to you. A lot going on in the news. We have that for you. Over the next couple of weeks, there'll be quite the scene at the Vatican with the passing of the Pope and the various things that will take place as they go through the protocols of replacing the Pope. But anyway, comments coming in from around the world. The president has announced that he will attend the funeral.
Okay.
So we'll see how that all goes. That's all yet to be played out here sometime this week. Anything good today?
Well, it is Earth Day. It's been going on since 1970, and it's, you know, in many corners been politicized, but we take all the politics out. We follow Christ, and we know as Christ followers, we are to be good stewards of this planet that he created for us, so we'll do that. We will keep our planet healthy and livable and get the politics out of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, all right. It's also National School Bus Driver Appreciation Day.
All right.
Recognizing all the school bus drivers taking care of our precious cargo as they take them back and forth from school. And you were a bus kid.
I was a bus rider.
Yeah. And that's got its own life, you know, getting on a bus, and
it was its own culture.
Absolutely.
And we had to ride that thing for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like delivering mail. Go, stop. Go, stop. Go, stop.
Yeah. And, you know, I was a farm kid, so we would, you know, they would come out to the end of your driveway, and you had to go through the snow 3 miles back and forth. No. And then we'd make our way in, and all the farm kids would come walking out their long driveways, you know. And in my case, you know, it was really a mixed crowd because my school was, you know, seniors in high school down to first grade, and I was first grader when I started riding the bus, and man, you would sit in the back of the bus or wherever you got an open seat, and you just shut up and watched.
Yeah,
because it was a pecking order, and buddy, you were at the bottom. Yep. So anyway, enjoy your bus drive.
And the interesting thing, did your bus driver have that mirror that went across the whole top?
All the way across.
All the way across?
Yes.
And how he drove and looked at that, or she drove and looked at that at the same time?
Yeah.
You ever have the bus driver pull over and scold you?
You know, my grandpa drove school bus for a long time.
I know. Oh, you were?
Yeah, my grandpa did, yes. Well, Grandpa Holder, he was a farmer, you know, in North Dakota. There's nothing to do with farmers in the wintertime, so a lot of them drove school bus.
Well, yeah, some kids got kicked off the bus.
Yeah.
And boy, that upset parents, because in those days, they literally stopped and booted them off.
Right, literally, yes.
You know,
yes.
You don't do that today.
No messing around.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
well.
And, you know, and also with this in mind, you know, school's in session now, and we see school buses in front of us, and we see them slowing down. We see the yellow lights come on. What do you do when you see those yellow lights come on?
You know, I park about 4 miles behind it.
Good. Because you know if the yellow lights are coming on,
the red ones
chances are red ones are coming on.
Yeah.
And how many times have you seen cars try to beat the yellow, you know, to bolt around them before the reds go on? You know, it's just respect, pay attention. Pretend it's your kids getting off that bus.
There you go.
All right. It's National Jelly Bean Day. Only one thing to eat. It is filled with sugar. And, of course, who can resist sweet jelly beans? Boston confectioner William Schraft made jelly beans popular way back during the Civil War. And they were sold by the pound. He encouraged his customers to send them to Union soldiers. In the 1930s, jelly beans became closely associated with Easter, thanks to their egg-like shape. But the 40th president of the United States, Ronald Reagan, enjoyed jelly beans so much that they were present at his inauguration, and he started eating them to quit smoking cigarettes, and it worked because he stuck on the jelly beans and quit cigarettes. But at the time of the inauguration in 1980, the company didn't produce blue jelly beans, so they created a blueberry jelly bean for the first time, especially for the inauguration, and they made red, white, and blue jelly beans for the inauguration, and here's an official version of it. Check this out. Look what Perry's got.
Right here. This is from the Ronald Reagan Library.
This is amazing.
A beautiful box with the presidential seal. And you open it up. And there is the red, white, and blue jelly bean.
Oh, man. And it's got his signature on it, the presidential seal on it. This is official.
Yeah, this is official.
That's awesome.
So there they are, the red,
no
white, and blue
idea.
jelly beans. And the jar's never been opened, probably never will be opened.
Okay.
So there you go.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, well,
enjoy your jelly beans.
Yeah, I won't tell you where this is.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, the problem about food here at the Dove, it's all community.
Yes, it is.
So it either will get eaten or thrown away.
Right.
And you've experienced both.
Thank you very much.
Throwing its food away. When it smells, it's time to go.
That's right. When it turns green, I don't care if it's split pea soup or not. It's going.
It's going.
Look out.
All right, good morning to you. He's going all the time right here.
An upper pressure ridge over the Pacific Northwest will keep things dry with warm days and clear skies. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy in mid-60s for Vancouver, Portland, and Wilsonville. Patchy frost, then sunny and 63 in McMinnville. Some patchy morning frost as we move down the Willamette Valley. Otherwise sunny with daytime highs in the low 60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a light north wind. Sunny skies today across the central Oregon high desert with daytime high temperatures near 60 in Prineville and mid-50s for Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny with a high near 66. Sunny and windy along the Oregon coast with daytime highs in the mid-to-upper 50s for Port Orford and Brookings and near 60 in Coos Bay and Crescent City, California, with gusts up to 32 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid-to-upper 60s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland with lows in the mid-to-upper 30s. In the Klamath Basin, sunny and mid-60s with a light northwest wind. Into northern California, sunny and mid-to-upper 60s around Wairika. Sunny and warm as we move south with high temperatures in the low to mid-80s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento. In the Bay Area, patchy fog before 8 a.m. for both Santa Rosa and Napa. Otherwise sunny with highs in the mid-70s. Mostly sunny in San Francisco with a high near 68. And today in San Jose, sunny and near 81. It's a snapshot of your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
Beautiful shot of southern Oregon. There it is. We call it home. It's called the Rogue Valley, and coming off of Roxanne, looking across the west side of the valley, that shadow. What a beautiful day. Changes are coming. It's going to be nice temperature-wise, as you just heard. It could cool down with some rain maybe this weekend.
Yeah.
We'll see how that it is. 'Tis the season. You know.
Great. Looking great out there. Well, are you seeking to be holy in all that you do? Well, here is some encouragement from Pastor Jack Graham.
And of all the things we can say of God, his primary attribute is his holiness. 1 Peter 1, 15 through 16 says, "But just as he who called you is holy, so be holy in all that you do, for it is written, 'Be holy because I am holy.'" The way we maintain moral purity as believers and followers of Jesus is to pursue holiness, of which the Bible says, without holiness, no man will see God. Now, just a brief theological truth right here. We are holy in Christ. We have received his righteousness. Positionally, by what Christ has done for us, we have received his righteousness. And then the rest of our days until we get to heaven should be the pursuit of that holiness and righteousness, the fulfillment of who we are in Christ. We are called, according to Ephesians 4 and verse 1, to walk worthy of our calling in the Lord Jesus Christ. The goal of our lives, the holy ambitions of our hearts should be to live more and more like Jesus.
Are you comfortable being who you are? That's a rhetorical question.
Well, wait a minute. I want to answer it.
Go ahead. I ask you.
I have my moments, but I have my moments where I don't. Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing is, are you happy not being who you think you ought to be?
Oh.
And the reason I ask that question is I think so often we miss the moment in anticipation of something that God never called us to do. And anyway, I say that rhetorically. It's something to process. I've had to learn that the hard way.
Well, yeah, and part of the equation in there, too, is, following God's call in your life. And sometimes we wonder, what is that call? And I think sometimes, you know, there are instances in our life where if God is pulling you into something, and you may not think you're right for it, you may not think you're equipped for it, you may not think you have anything that can accomplish that, but God still pulls you to it, and you think, you know, there must be something to this, because God's, this isn't in my capabilities. So oftentimes God does that, because when he gets it done, he gets the glory.
Yeah, he always puts you in over your head.
Well, absolutely true. It's a great sign if that's really a call from him.
Put you in over your head just because you need him. But are you today anywhere close to where you thought you would be 25, 30 years ago?
Not really.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Kind of interesting how God...
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder.
That's okay. Especially with a broken leg.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Well, you know, maybe God had to slow you down a little bit.
Well, he did. Yeah.
All right, good morning to you. Let's take a look at some of the top stories today. This is kind of an interesting one. The life of New York, not only the state but the city, is amazing. Now, you've lived there, you know what it's all about.
Yeah.
And the governor, Andrew Cuomo was the governor, went out the back door for a lot of reasons. And the current governor,
Hochul. Yeah.
Her ratings are really low, like in the 30s or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not good, so I don't know if she's up for re-election. And then they've gone through a couple of mayors, and the current mayor there is kind of interesting. You know, he was against everything, and now he's kind of leaning towards Trump, and he's taking a lot of heat for it.
Yeah, he dropped being a Democrat.
Yeah. He went independent.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, Governor Andrew Cuomo, former governor, announced he's going to run for mayor of the city of New York. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, not so fast, Andrew. The House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer yesterday has sent over to the Department of Justice on Monday, recommending that the former governor, Andrew Cuomo, be charged with making false statements to Congress all over COVID. Now, we know the rumors during the time he was sending people to rest homes, and then they died and they never had the proper number.
Yeah.
Something fishy was going on there.
Right.
Anyway, here's what Comer had to say about it.
Well, what we know is Governor Cuomo ordered contagious patients into nursing homes. He lied about it. Then he covered it up. And now he's threatening anyone who tries to cross him to get accountability. So we've already seen a scathing report out of the New York Attorney General's office where nursing home deaths were underreported by as much as 50%. So what the Oversight Committee wants is we want the truth. We want to know exactly how many deaths occurred at the nursing homes. We want to know what possessed Governor Cuomo to have this strategy with the contagious patients. And we want to make sure that this never happens again.
Well, if you remember, you really don't want to remember anything during COVID, but he was constantly in the news giving these news conferences, avoiding all the questions that he's now brought
Absolutely, and then getting those softball ones with his brother on CNN, remember?
Oh,
they would
gosh.
have those nightly little gab sessions,
Yeah.
and they would joke around and stuff. I thought, this is totally inappropriate.
Yeah, both Cuomos are out.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, the left is still going after Defense Secretary Hegseth over various things. You know, this chat got out.
Right.
The editor of The Atlantic somehow got copied on the chat. And I think they traced that back to 3 people in the higher-ups of the Pentagon, and they fired all 3 of them.
Right.
The Pentagon's got a lot of leftover people that do not like the change of this administration.
Apparently, yeah.
And so they're still leaking things to the press, trying to get Hegseth somehow cornered in such a way they can get him thrown out. Well, the administration is not only defending their secretary, but going after NPR for literally broadcasting a fake story. And here is the press secretary of the White House talking about it.
The president stands strongly behind Secretary Hegseth, who is doing a phenomenal job leading the Pentagon. And this is what happens when the entire Pentagon is working against you and working against the monumental change that you are trying to implement. Secretary Hegseth was nominated for this position because he is standing up for the war fighter, the men and women in uniform who are putting their lives on the line to protect our country and our homeland. And unfortunately, there have been people at that building who don't like like the change the secretary is trying to bring, so they are leaking and they are lying to the mainstream media. We've seen this game played before. They are lying about the Secretary of Defense. Let me reiterate, no classified information was shared in these chats, but you do have leakers who are leaking classified information, which is a crime, I will add. And so the administration and the president have taken a very strong stance against anyone who leaks, especially sensitive and classified information that can put our troops and our warfighters at risk. And you've seen the secretary has taken very strong action to rein in the leakers at the Pentagon, and he will continue to do so, I'm sure. The secretary is doing a tremendous job, and the president stands strongly behind him.
Are you surprised at this?
Yes.
I am too.
I am surprised because this is the Pentagon.
Right.
And now nothing surprises me because we know that the judicial system's been compromised. Now the inner circle of the Pentagon's been compromised.
Yeah.
So we'll see where this goes. But here's the problem. Of all people to leak it to is NPR, and of all things for NPR to is a run with a fake story.
Right.
When their whole finances are now being scrutinized.
Yeah, they bit on this.
They may have done the wrong thing here.
Right. They're on shaky ground as it is. 2026
isn't far away. I mean, it's a year from now. A year from May, we'll be voting in the primaries in Oregon.
What?
Yes. It's a perpetual election cycle in the United States. Well, the big question is, one of the big races is not only, it's going to be for the governorship of California.
Mm-hmm.
Newsom is done. More ways than one.
Well, yeah.
He's termed out.
Yes.
So what's going to happen to the Golden State? Can it be revived when you have a blue hold on Sacramento in such a way? It's kind of like, well, same thing as Oregon.
Yeah.
You got this dominant rule.
Yep.
Well, guess what? This guy could change the playing field. His name is Steve Hilton. You've seen him a lot on television. He's a media personality, but there's more to him than just that. Listen to this.
In 2012, we moved to America, to California, the ultimate expression of America, the home of freedom, or it should be. I taught at Stanford University, started a company, wrote books, hosted a TV show. I lived the California dream. I raised my family here, made my life here, became an American. It was one of the proudest days of my life, but also a reminder of the madness, the masks, the lockdowns, the school closures. Look at these pictures, the chaos, the crime, the collapse of the California dream. This is not just any other state. California means to America what America means to the world. Let's make California the land of opportunity again. Great jobs, great homes, great kids. Let's make California an inspiration again. The very best of America. There's only one way to do that. We've got to end the one-party rule that got us into this mess. It's time to end the years of Democrat failure. It's time for a new future. That's why I'm running for governor. To make this beautiful state that we love so much truly golden again.
What a phrase. Truly golden again.
Well, I have to tell you, there's another line in there that's really good. California is to America what America is to the world.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's true.
Yeah.
And I think people want to see California restored.
Yep.
And it's worth saving.
Yeah.
So California and Oregon, Washington, they call it the left coast.
Yeah.
I think California and Oregon have a crack in their windshield. Might take a couple of election cycles, but he could end up being a great candidate because he's a good communicator. He's got a great story, and he's gone after hope, restoring California. He's not selling fear. He is selling, let's make California golden again.
Right.
Gosh, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I'm going to talk to somebody who is in the know about that coming up.
All right.
A little bit later. Is that all my stories? Did I do everything?
I think so.
I did.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm caught up.
Good. Because we're out of time.
We usually are.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your windowsill, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Lizer with Lizer Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
Here is an update on the Dove Spring Boost. Currently, we are at 60% of our goal to purchase much needed equipment for our station upgrade. Thank you for your generous support. We're not at goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. Thank you.
Back 22 minutes past the hour on a beautiful Tuesday morning, and I don't know what you're doing this weekend, but this weekend starts something really cool. This is going to be National Parks Week, where you can get free admission to any of the national parks, including our own beautiful Crater Lake. Probably a lot of snow still up there.
Yeah, but I bet they got the roads clear.
All the way around?
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
Oh, I wonder. I don't know about the rim. That's a good question.
So you have not only Crater Lake, you got Tule Lake, you got Lewis Clark, you got the lava beds, Oregon Caves, Sequoia King Canyon, Yosemite, Death Valley, Yellowstone, John Day fossil beds. I mean, and the list goes on and on and on.
Okay.
So Saturday starts a week where you can visit these national forests, or national parks, free. And I tell you what, I'm so glad for the National Parks organization, because these places do need to be preserved, and they are. So good stuff all the way around. So
enjoy.
Take your kids. Take them out there.
Yeah.
You know. Okay. Let's take a look at Wall Street for this Tuesday. Thank you, Preston, over there at Smart Lawn. If you're smart, you'll get his lawn, and if you're really smart, you'll go visit his wife's ice cream shop at Twin Peaks in Central Point.
All right.
Oops, sorry.
All right.
The Dow went the other way. Well, look at this. Yesterday was down. Today it's up 578 points.
Oh, my goodness.
The Nas jumped up 291, and the S&P up 79. So this is a reversal of yesterday.
Yeah.
So yesterday, Steve Forbes came out with a pretty tough report, and the market fell hard. Look at this. Gold is at 34.38. Silver's at 32, almost 33. Crude oil bumped $1, $66.74 a barrel. Excuse me. Okay, so that's what's happening on the big board.
So your gold is worth a lot more today. Your gold is worth.
Oh, gosh.
Don't you wish you had? Oh, maybe you have some.
Well, I don't know. Say
That's it. See that on my finger? That's my gold.
Yeah,
that's it.
It represents gold.
Well, this is interesting. This is kind of off the radar for me. As Senator Josh Hawley praised whistleblower Sarah Wynne Williams and slammed Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, accusing him of working with the Chinese Communist Party.
This is a hearing that Facebook has tried desperately to prevent. Facebook is one of the most powerful companies in the world. It is one of the most powerful companies in the history of the world, and they have stopped at absolutely nothing to prevent today's testimony. They've absolutely gone to war to try to prevent it. Our witness today is a whistleblower, and not just a whistleblower, but a longtime executive at Facebook. She worked directly with Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sanders and the Facebook brass. She was a part of the Facebook brass, and they have gone scorched earth to prevent her from telling what she knows. They've sued her. They have sought a gag order against her. They have begged courts to take her book off of the shelves. They tried to get it stopped from being printed in the first place. They have threatened her, get this, with $50,000 in punitive damages every time she mentions Facebook in public. $50,000 every time she mentions Facebook in public, even if the statements that she is making are true. And even as we sit here today, Facebook is attempting her total and complete financial ruin. They are attempting to destroy her personally. They are attempting to destroy her reputation. And I think the question is why? Why is it that Facebook is so desperate to prevent this witness from telling what she knows? What is it that they are so afraid of? Well, we're going to find out today. And I think that we've already got a sense of it. Sarah Wynne Williams knows the truth about Facebook. That's what they fear. She knows that while Mark Zuckerberg now claims to be a champion of the United States and claims to be a free speech warrior, he in fact worked hand in glove with the Chinese Communist Party for years. He in fact made censorship his business model. He, in fact, developed censorship tools for the Chinese Communist Party to use against its own people. He, in fact, made Americans' own user data available, was willing to make it available to Beijing. The truth is, Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg have lied to the American people repeatedly. And I think as we'll see today, they have lied to Congress as well.
Whoa, whoa.
I don't know where this hearing's going.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen to Sarah Wynne Williams when she starts to testify. There's a personal feeling, that's all it is, based upon nothing, just my own thinking. I think Mark Zuckerberg, in the last year or so, maybe shorter than that, it probably is woken up to the fact that his company is corrupt.
Yes, yes.
And he doesn't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
He's tried being pro-America. He has stood during hearings and turned around and spoke to families and said, I'm sorry.
Apologized. Yeah.
And apologized.
Yeah, yes.
I can't imagine being the young man that gave birth to one of the biggest companies in the world is being controlled by a lot of lawyers and peoples and boards and everything else.
Yeah.
The incrimination of having ties to the CCP is probably overwhelming the people that are behind him that don't want their names mentioned. So they're putting a lot of pressure on him. I got this funny feeling he's trying hard to rescue his company from where it went and where it is, because that's not who he is, and he's trapped. He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Now, there's a couple things he can do. He can take control of his company and tell everybody to take a hike.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He could put out a documentary and correct a lot of this stuff, or it's real simple.
What?
He resigns.
Wow.
He takes his billions and go fishing.
Right, yeah.
And give the reason why he resigned.
I wonder who would ever be in a position to buy Facebook. I wonder what the relative value of that company is right now.
Well, you know, it's if you go to a store and you download apps, and you look at the amount of people that are, Facebook is no longer number one.
Oh, no kidding.
You got to no, I think it depends on the day too.
Okay.
So there are days Instagram does better than it does. I don't know what Truth Social's doing, and I don't know what X is doing.
I don't either.
So you take these big ones, and they're always going up and down on days' activities. But a lot of young people have left Facebook a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see where this goes. He has to own up to what he has allowed as a company to do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he should escape from this. I just got a funny feeling he is waking up to the fact that he allowed his company to go down the wrong road and he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, and I'm interested.
I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong on that.
I'm interested. What's in that book? What's in Sarah Wynne Williams' book? What is she actually? What is she giving in the book? And I would like to see you interview her on Focus Today. Wouldn't that be a good interview?
Yeah.
Huh?
Hey, hello, Polina.
Hello, Polina. We got a number for you to call here. All right.
Okay, 1-800 Jelly Beans. We'll be right back.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
At Kelly's Automotive Service,
being good stewards of what God has entrusted to us
is at the core of our business.
We believe what we do matters.
Every interaction, every transaction is another opportunity
to bring Christ's values into the marketplace.
If you're a technician who wants to be part of something bigger,
or just looking for a new shop to bring your vehicle,
we would love to meet you.
We're Kelly's Automotive Service,
where we service your vehicle,
but take care of you.
If you enjoy the Dove TV, tell a friend or family member. If they can't receive a signal, the Dove streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at theDove.us. Help encourage someone who needs hope. Spread the word about the Dove TV.
This is CBN Newswatch. Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN Newswatch, because truth matters.
CBN Newswatch, weekdays at noon on the Dove TV. Here is an update on the Dove Spring Boost. Currently, we are at 60% of our goal to purchase much-needed equipment for our station upgrade. Thank you for your generous support. We're not a goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. Thank you.
Good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Great weather, as you can tell by the beautiful flowers out back.
That's right.
That's right out our window here.
Uh-huh.
What do you think, huh?
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Gorgeous out there.
Right.
All right, let's check in with CBN Newswatch and get caught up on the Middle East.
This is CBN Newswatch.
Thank you so much for joining us for CBN Newswatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. We begin this busy Tuesday in the Middle East, where Israel is urging its citizens around the world to be pro-vigilant as pro-Palestinian groups are calling for a global day of rage. This comes as Israel continues to ramp up the war in Gaza. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl is on the story. She's reporting from Jerusalem.
Pro-Palestinian groups are calling for this day of rage today to protest the ongoing war in Gaza. Israeli officials warn that Jewish travelers around the world could be targeted and violently attacked, as they have been in recent months. They're advising travelers not to display Jewish symbols or signs and to stay away from protest areas. Here in the Middle East, in Gaza, Israel Defense Forces are launching what could be the final push against Hamas strongholds. Flares visible from Israel light up the night sky as the IDF prepares to strike enemy targets. The terrorists have been pushed into more isolated and shrinking enclaves. They're often hiding in the tent cities of Gaza's displaced civilians, putting those civilians at more risk than ever as the IDF goes after the terrorists.
Over the past 72 hours, Israel's Air Force has struck 200 terror targets across Gaza. Amongst those are launch and sniper posts, weapons depots, and terror compounds. Ground forces dismantled terror infrastructure in Rafah, Tel al-Sultan, and Shabora, uncovering weapons caches and eliminating several terrorists.
Even as Hamas announces its plans to recruit 30,000 new fighters, it's having trouble paying those already in the ranks. Hamas was making much of its money by stealing and then selling humanitarian aid, but that cash flow has been drying up since the IDF cut off aid deliveries several weeks ago. Some in Israel advocate ending the war to get the remaining hostages back. But Israel's prime minister says while the return of the hostages is a top priority and negotiations are still underway, Hamas must be crushed to prevent more hostages from being taken in the future.
If we do not complete the destruction of Hamas military and governmental capabilities, the next October 7 and the next kidnappings are only a matter of time. Hamas says they will do it, they intend to do it, and they're working to do it.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Continuing our coverage now, we are joined by our Middle East Bureau Chief, Chris Mitchell. So, Chris, let's begin with this. What is the latest on the hostage talks?
Well, Israel has proposed, Ephraim, but that's been rejected by Hamas. Their proposal was for a 45-day ceasefire, along with the release of 10 hostages, knowing that there are 59 hostages remaining. 24 of those apparently are still alive. But Hamas's conditions are that it insists that there be a permanent ceasefire, which basically means an end of the war. They want a complete Israeli withdrawal from all of Gaza. But as we saw in Julie's report, Israel is increasing its military campaign on Hamas, putting more pressure on Hamas to achieve the two goals of the war. First of all, that all the hostages would be released and that Hamas would be dismantled and no longer a threat to Israel.
Let's turn now to the talks between Iran and the United States. What's the status?
Well, the next meeting is scheduled to be this Saturday in Oman once again. The first one was in Oman, the second one in Rome. Right now, they're going to what called technical talks. That would be, setting limits on uranium enrichment, sanctions relief, and monitoring a protocol. But Ephraim, here, the concern in Israel is that this really sounds a lot like the negotiations back in 2015 when President Obama negotiated what's called the JCPOA. What Israel wants is what they call the Libyan model. That would be, as what happened in Libya back in 2003 and 4, the destruction of the total nuclear infrastructure. As Netanyahu said in a speech last Friday, he said there's not 1 millimeter change in their goals. They want a complete destruction of that nuclear sites, either voluntarily or by military action. And as I said, the third meeting will be back in Oman this Saturday, but Israel will be watching very closely to see how those talks progress.
Well, there you go. One day at a time. I think we're just going to wake up to the headline of it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Yes, something with Iran, and just shows you how fragile life on Earth is on Earth Day.
Yes.
Okay, talking about fragile. This guy skis on both feet.
An upper pressure ridge over the Pacific Northwest will keep things dry with warm days and clear skies. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy in mid-60s for Vancouver, Portland, and Wilsonville. Patchy frost, then sunny and 63 in McMinnville. Some patchy morning frost as we move down the Willamette Valley. Otherwise sunny with daytime highs in the low 60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a light north wind. Sunny skies today across the central Oregon high desert with daytime high temperatures near 60 in Prineville and mid-50s for Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny with a high near 66. Sunny and windy along the Oregon coast with daytime highs in the mid-to-upper 50s for Port Orford and Brookings and near 60 in Coos Bay and Crescent City, California, with gusts up to 32 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid-to-upper 60s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland with lows in the mid-to-upper 30s. In the Klamath Basin, sunny and mid-60s with a light northwest wind. Into Northern California, sunny in mid-to-upper 60s around Wairika. Sunny and warm as we move south with high temperatures in the low to mid-80s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento. In the Bay Area, patchy fog before 8 a.m. for both Santa Rosa and Napa. Otherwise sunny with highs in the mid-70s. Mostly sunny in San Francisco with a high near 68. And today in San Jose, sunny and near 81. It's a snapshot of your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
All right, there we go. And that is, you know what? You know what that makes me want to do?
What?
I want to go flying.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Now, I love aviation and all aspects of it. But one of the greatest thrills I've had flying is flying a ultralight.
Oh, you've mentioned
which I don't recommend for chickens.
Yeah. You know what? You have that in common with Chuck Yeager. He said the same thing about ultralights.
Well, they're interesting. You got to respect them. But they are, with that wind blowing in your face, and you're flying around out there on a lawn chair.
I was going to say, did you strap a fan to your back?
It's basically flying a lawn chair with a fan on your back.
Yes.
It's just, It's a little weird, but
wow.
The first thing I did is I went up to 3,000 feet. That was a mistake. And I actually go, it's me and this piece of aluminum. And I go, no, that ain't happening. I told the other guys with, I said, this bothers me. And I got a lot of hours. And I said, let's go back down. Yeah. So we want to go tree hopping? I go, yeah, let's go tree hopping.
Oh, no way.
That was a whole lot better.
No way.
Then I learned something. You don't sharp turn an ultralight.
Oh, really? Are there any kind of instruments? What do you have in front of you?
Well, there's a little bit of an airspeed thing there.
Really?
There's a little bit of a RPM gauge there.
So you're
then a hot and cold.
Yeah, and you're literally flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, you're holding on to your seat. I'll tell you that.
On an aluminum.
And there's a little thing on the side that shows you how much fuel you got.
Oh, how are those things on fuel?
They go forever. But you know what's cool about it? There's two types of them. There's one with the wings.
Right.
So if you lose an engine, your wings out there, and they're pretty easy to land.
Okay.
They just float around. You just don't want to panic.
Yeah.
Of course, you're trained not to do that.
Right.
And then I've flown the ones with the
like
parachutes.
Parachute, yeah.
And you think about it, your parachute's already deployed.
Right. If you run out of fuel, you just slow it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
You do that.
Okay. I wish I could. What are we doing here?
All right. Well, it was on this day in history that a statement of faith was to appear on U.S. currency, and it was passed by Congress.
On April 22, 1864, as the Civil War raged and the nation's soul hung in the balance, the U.S. Congress passed a quiet but powerful piece of legislation, the Coinage Act of 1864. It authorized something new for America's currency, the inscription, "In God We Trust." The country was bruised and broken, and many believed it was divine guidance that would heal it. So when the first 1 cent and 2 cent coins were minted bearing those words, they were more than metal, they were hope pressed in copper. The following year, legislation was passed allowing the inscription to be put on all gold and silver coins. Much wider adoption of the phrase "In God We Trust" followed in the 1950s, and the first postage stamps with the motto appeared in 1954. A law passed in July of 1955 by a joint resolution of Congress and approved by President Dwight Eisenhower requires that "In God We Trust" appear on all American currency. In 1956, "In God We Trust" replaced "E Pluribus Unum" as our national motto.
Okay, I still have this dream.
And it is?
And someday a president, when giving the State of the Union address, will stop and force the cameras to look above his head about 8 feet. In marble, in the House of Representatives, above the podium is etched "In God We Trust." And force the national cameras and point towards it and say, "In God We Do Trust."
Outstanding, yes.
I was hoping, I had the high honor attending President George W. Bush's last State of the Union address, and my seat was in the galley right over the door where he came out. And as I looked down that aisle, as he was heading down towards the podium, and I looked up, and there it was. And I go, wow.
That would be great.
If somebody would just stop and force the cameras to go up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
All right. Well, this guy always makes you go, wow.
Uh-oh.
He does the weather here. Don't we have? Oh, we did the weather.
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to say, no, we don't want him again.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That was you.
Yeah, that was me. And I think it was right.
Was it?
Yeah, you know.
Rare moment.
You know, we got two brains working on this. We got Logan who pulls the data, then I pull the data later, and we kind of compare notes on it, and sometimes we get close.
No, you guys do a great job. All right. Well, listen, Edward Graham, son of Franklin Graham, he was out there at Palisades, Pacific Palisades, which is devastated, gone, absolutely gone, bringing hope through Samaritan's Purse.
I'm in Palisades, California, and as many as you know, this community was just devastated by fires that destroyed hundreds of homes. I'm sitting here with the daughter of the homeowner, and the homeowner can't even come back. She doesn't want to see it right now. But talking with the daughter, we did her house yesterday. She lost her house as well. She spent her whole childhood here. They're broken, they're hurting. But this is why Samaritan's Purse, we go.
I'm really blown away by this organization. They went to my house that burned down yesterday, and my mom's here today. And I'm just really grateful for all the volunteers and the organization itself. I think it's changing the lives of not only the people that have lost everything, but the people that are donating their time. And I think I've just met so many amazing people, and they're all praying for us, and that means everything to me right now.
We've all been through storms of life, and Jesus has been what has gotten us through those storms. So when we come out here and volunteer, we're coming alongside them and saying, we don't know exactly what you've been through, but we've been through difficult things too, and God has gotten us through that.
I mean, people have come from all around the United States to come sift through the ashes to try to help us find any remnants of what still might be. And that has been so meaningful for me. It's really life-changing. It's really incredible to have all these volunteers give their time and hearts and prayers to us when we need it most.
We go with the equipment, we go with the volunteers because we want people to know they're not forsaken. They're not forgotten. Matter of fact, God loves them so much, He sent His only Son, Jesus. Everything that we're doing right here in California, we can't do it without your prayers. And so we appreciate it very much. If you ever want to volunteer and be part of Samaritan's Purse and what we do, you can go to spvolunteer.org or you go to SamaritansPurse.org. Figure out how to get involved in the drop-down menu, and you can sign up and be a part of something like this.
Well, I can't say enough about that. Yeah. I don't know where you are in the season of life, but there's an organization saying, come be a part of us. They'll train you, and they'll certainly take advantage of how God has used you in the past and try to match you with that task in the future. So, gosh, they do a wonderful, wonderful job. All right, good morning to you. 13 minutes before the hour, and we'll take a jelly bean break.
Just keep pushing ahead. Yeah, the new has come. All the old is dead. Just keep moving on.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
The Dove Spring Boost is going on now. Here's an update on what's been raised. Currently, we're at 60% of our goal to purchase much-needed equipment for our station upgrade and remodel. Thank you for your generous giving and support. We can't do it without you. We're not at goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. You can call anytime or donate online safely at thedove.us. Thank you for supporting the Dove.
Okay, well, listen, our friends to the north have their problems too. Canada is very much in the news. They have a prime minister now that has never been elected to anything.
Yeah.
And they're going to have an election in October. The question is, will he be reelected? Well, in the meantime, Canada's got a lot of problems, and a member of Parliament told Fox News that the S&P downgrading of Canada's second largest province, Quebec, has had an impact on the people and the economy and the ability to just make ends meet there. And here's a little bit of what they said.
I think it's going to have a very dramatic effect, not only on Canadian families, but Canadian businesses and the Canadian economy. We see with the tariffs that, that have been imposed, the cost of everything that, people need to survive is going to go up. And whether that's putting food on the table or putting gas into their cars or even their utility bills or the money that they're having to pay for homes, every single aspect and facet of their life is going to have an increase in price that they're going to have to pay. I think it has been, first and foremost at the mind of many Canadians and many Canadian entrepreneurs as well across the country, not only talking about the tariffs at present, but also what the future holds between the Canada and the U.S. relationship. And it has also ignited a resurgence of Canadian nationalism across the country. So the Canada-U.S. and the tariff situation, and the tariffs that have been announced by the president have been top of mind for Canadians and have played a significant factor in this Canadian election. We are almost a week away from having the winner announced, as to who the Canadians are going to choose to become their prime minister. And I think the Canadians are looking for leadership with the current prime minister that is running, that was selected almost a month ago. He is running now to get a mandate from Canadians. Many Canadians see him as the same old. It is a liberal, playbook from many of the people that were involved with Justin Trudeau. They just announced a policy handbook, and many people have said they've taken out the name of Justin Trudeau and put in Mark Carney. So I think that Canadians obviously are going to have their voices heard through their vote, but Canadians are looking for leadership in the upcoming months and years.
Wow. So this is remarkable. The Canadians up there, we have friends up there that have radio stations. UCB started stations up there, and their hard rule of Christian media up there is pretty interesting.
Is it? Yeah.
I could get off on that for a long time, but I won't. But the point being is, it's not a friendly.
Is it more in the Brit mode, the UK?
Well, it certainly has a lot of elements of the UK soft socialism.
Yeah.
Okay, you got a mixture of British, a lot of French. What do you do with this? You're coming out of years of Trudeau, who basically was a blober, and he was a young dictator.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what you're going to do. The people up there, Canada's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And the people are just tired of being ruled over. So now whether or not they show up in October and change the face of Parliament and don't let this Carney guy in, we'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what goes. But boy, I think she's pointing out something that's legitimate, and that is people have had enough of the nonsense. Will it show up on Election Day?
Yeah.
If they don't have any fraud in their elections.
Oh, isn't that a can of worms? So you can open that thing up?
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Tom Del Beccaro will be back with us, former chairman of the Republican Party in California. We'll talk about 2026 and who's looking good for governor, and also his thoughts on Pope Francis passing, what that may mean to the Catholic Church. He himself, a very devout Catholic. We'll see. Is this a chance for the church to get back theologically? I think the faithful are saying, we sure hope so. But do they have a vote in the matter? No, the Cardinals do it.
Yeah, right.
So it's kind of like, I read something about the going into this conclave. Apparently, the rules of the Catholic Church say that anybody can become pope as long as they're a Catholic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But it's only been done by the Cardinals. It's kind of like the Speaker of the House.
Right.
The Speaker of the House, anybody can become Speaker of the House.
Right.
But they usually elect it from within the ranks.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see what happens.
That's interesting. Wouldn't that be interesting to see somebody come from left field? Okay.
I'll send you over there.
Yeah. Yeah. You said the key thing. They have to be Catholic.
Oh. Yeah. I'll send Rick over.
Okay. Okay, yes.
Straighten him out.
There you
Not only
go.
that, but he'd wire the Vatican up.
All right.
He'd wire it all up so we can see everything.
When I saw this story, I thought this is good on two levels. And the first element that got my eye was hot sauce. We always need new hot sauce brand.
You do.
But
brush
this,
your teeth with it.
but this is a great story. It's really about Drew Davis. He's a 19-year-old young man who is confined to a wheelchair because of cerebral palsy, but it hasn't slowed him down at all, as he's managed to start a successful hot sauce company named crippling hot sauce.
My name's Drew, and I'm the founder of Crippling Hot Sauce, a comical spin on traditionally boring hot sauce brands. Born with cerebral palsy, I never knew quite what I was going to be able to do because my physical capabilities are limited at times. When I was 16 years old, I got a B- in a school business project. When I asked why I got the B, he said it was unrealistic. After that feedback, I decided to bring my school project to life and officially start Crippling Hot Sauce. And 18 months later, we've sold over 150,000 bottles. Not only is it a great tasting product, but we donate 5% to cerebral palsy research. I hope to inspire other people, no matter their circumstances, to pursue their dream, because life is short. Join our mission at thecripplingcompany.com.
So this guy, he's got a high school class, a business class, and he writes down a business plan for a hot sauce company, and he gets a B- on it because his teacher says, this is unrealistic. You can't really do. So he does it. And now, he started in 2023, put $3,000 of his own money into it, and he started it in his parents' kitchen. Less than 2 years later, the brand has sold over 500,000 bottles. It generated $2 million in 2024, and will hit $5 million this year. Wow.
Send us some, Drew. He'll test it live on the air right here.
Here is an update on the Dove Spring Boost. Currently, we are at 60% of our goal to purchase much-needed equipment for our station upgrade. Thank you for your generous support. We're not a goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. Thank you.
Big ideas grow.
Thousands of satisfied customers make Jim Clark's Consignment Country the most recommended RV consignment lot on the West Coast. Even dealers recommend us. That success comes from dealing with only the cleanest pre-owned RVs at the best prices, no high-pressured salespeople, and treating customers with respect. And we've been doing this in the same location for over 40 years. Before you buy or sell your RV, see why so many satisfied customers recommend Jim Clark's Consignment Country. Family owned and operated at 1630 Rogue River Highway in Grants Pass.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley's own K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
This week on The John Ankerberg Show,
imagine never knowing the gift of love, joy, peace, and hope found in God's Word. For many, that's reality. They long to read it, but can't. For example,
over the years, we've been working with Bible translators, but when they get done with the translation, the majority of the people can't read it. They're non-literate.
So how can we help them?
Join me for The John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
Help the Dove with much-needed equipment for our remodel. Pray about giving to our Spring Boost. Thank you from the Dove.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Always honored when we have a few moments to sit down with Tom Del Beccaro. He's the author of a fascinating book called The Lessons of the American Civilization. Again, The Lessons of the American Civilization. He's also former chairman of the California Republican Party. Has some questions about that a little bit later. Author of two historical perspectives, The Divided Era and The New Conservative Paradigm. He's also a columnist for Fox News, Fox Business, Epoch Times, and publisher of the politicalvanguard.com. Tom does have a website, tomdell.com. That's his website. But I think you want to get a copy of his latest book, The Lessons of the American Civilization. It's simple, it's powerful, and it'll be a great refreshing course for you to take. You'll end up writing in the margins, Lessons for the American Civilization. Tom, good to see you, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to be on at this rather seminal period and moments in American and world history.
It is. Thank you for your time and your perspective. Do want to talk about the passing of the Pope, and I know that that's dear to your heart. Quite a few questions there about the protocols from here on out, but in particular, Tom, how do you think the Pope will be remembered?
Well, like many complicated figures, there will be those who remember him for specific things and those who will point out other aspects of his life. There's two sides to his coin. He was and did preach that the church, should be welcoming. We must recall and know that Christ's time on earth was not spent hanging out with the cool people or the establishment, but rather the least among us. And he taught us that the first shall be last. And Pope Francis certainly believed that and thought his ministry was welcoming in that regard. But there are other aspects that some would call progressive that are more troubling to historians, church historians, those who believe in church doctrine, for which he'll be remembered as well.
Okay. In the meantime, how much influence does he, or did he have, on changing the complexion of the cardinals?
Well, a huge percentage. The College of Cardinals has been greatly expanded over the years. Of course, when it first, millennia ago, it was very small. It was very Italian-centric. It is now expanded around the world. You have American cardinals, you have Asian cardinals, African, and of course, South American, from where Francis resided. So he placed the majority of them about 100 years ago. A rule came in that you had to retire at 75. Most cardinals in the last several hundred years have been older. At the start, they were much younger and lasted much longer, but he has a huge influence in over 2/3 of the cardinals.
Okay. I've been reading about 7 or 8 perspectives of or possibilities of people who could become the next pope. They seem to be evenly divided from those who would follow or maybe enhance his legacy, and those who would return the church more to a theological tradition and placement. What's your personal feel for that?
Well, at first, if you would indulge me just for a minute, the Christianity and modern-day Catholicism is the most intellectual religion in history. So what do I mean by that? Unlike other religions, Christianity began with a single person who made rather profound pronouncements. But over the centuries, the doctrines that Christ stated in his simple words, and sometimes very brief. We often wish that he spoke in sentences that were longer so that we could understand more. But what separates Christianity, 2 things separate Christianity, 3, from all other religions. And one of those is its intellectual nature. And what I mean by that is over the centuries, brilliant people from the original Latin fathers. You can look at people like Tertullian or Theophilus of Antioch with regard to the Trinity, Ambrose from Milan on atonement. You can look at St. Augustine talking about the city of man versus the city of the church, Aquinas, who applied these principles to the moral restrictions that should be placed on government. All of this over the centuries has refined this religion and the message of Christ to an incredible degree and an incredible level of thought. Compare that to other religions. Islam, which was over 26 years, basically came from through what they believe their one prophet. And so these traditions of the Catholic Church and Christianity have stood the test of time and been strengthened by time. And traditions are the guardrails of a civilization and a religion. And religion should be the ultimate conservative institution to conserve that which is best for mankind. And the criticism that follows with Francis and his potential liberal successors is this notion that somehow religion should change with the times, as if we have not faced similar periods in world history. Of course we have. If you look at some of the moral issues facing America today, they differ only in detail to what happened at the height of the Renaissance. But should the church have changed then? Should it change now? So the issue before the church is understanding that the church is a lighthouse that should not be moved in a storm when it is most needed, but it should be a clear beacon. It doesn't catch up with the times. It should help define any moment in time. And so if you look at those who might succeed him, I think that is the measure we should consider.
Okay, that is so beautifully said. Let me back up a little bit. I read a couple of books by Pope Benedict, highlighted, especially the first one that he wrote about Christ was pretty remarkable. He clearly.
By the way, Pope Benedict recognized my mother for her pro-life, I'm going to tear up, ministry. So he's very dear to us.
Anyway, he was the theologian and the intellectual that the church needed that kind of describes what you're talking about right now.
Exactly.
But it appeared that he was pressured out. Do you know why?
Well, consider this. If we do an analogy to a pendulum swing in politics, you had an incredibly dynamic pope who worked with Reagan and Thatcher and who blazed a path of both conservatism and freedom. And Benedict was his successor. Of course, he was very much allied and worked with John Paul II. And then there was this pendulum swing to the other side, much like in politics, where Reagan had his Bush, but then after that, there was a change. And so I think you can make that parallel. Benedict was doctrinaire because he knew the doctrine and he understood the lighthouse analogy that I made. And so, yes, there are times even within the church where you've had this pendulum swing, and he may well have been the victim of that. But also keep this in mind. Benedict was 78 when he was elected Pope. I hope I have his energy when I was tomorrow that he had at 78, and his ability to keeping on may have been restricted. So he may have decided to not fight longer.
Okay, so there seems to be, this sounds political, I don't mean it to be, but there seems to be a global swing back to realism, conservatism, or those rooted values that globally people are waking up and saying, I don't like the nonsense. I want to get back to things that are meaningful and sensible. The question is, will that show up in the conclave?
You do ask a good question. Keep in mind, this fight you speak about is not uniform. There is clamping down in France and England and Germany on those who dissent. And within the Catholic Church, the dynamic of the 120 people who will vote is not necessarily or isn't in that same vein. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Even some of them appointed by Francis, depending on who you listen to, believe he went too far. And so there could be this pendulum swing back. But I also want people to understand that the church is a human institution. The College of Cardinals has always been political, dating back centuries upon centuries, maybe not the very first, but often. And so some of that will infect this process.
Age is always a consideration. You spoke of that of Pope Benedict, 78, when he was elected Pope. There's the risk of electing somebody too young and you can't get rid of them if they go haywire, or too old and they go crazy or they become senile. And yet you want somebody that's mature and well-grounded in theology. This is a little bit more difficult than people think.
Yes, it is very difficult. And the College of Cardinals is nothing like it was even 150 years ago. We have internationalized the College of Cardinals. I spoke about those in Asia and Africa and the like. And if you look at the places around the world, they're not all in the same moment in time from a moral value point of view. If you look at some of the cardinals in Africa, they think very differently than, say, some of the more liberal Northern Hemisphere cardinals. So, yes, there are many, many moving parts to this.
As Pope Francis continued on, he seemed to become more centric, or maybe even left of center, obviously, created a lot of controversy within the church. The average parishioner can only vote with their feet and wallet. Is it true that the church suffered financially under Francis?
Well, you ask an interesting question, because I wrote a piece effectively about Francis's attacks on the U.S. church, who basically provided the most money. And he was left of center, and that often causes concerns. On the other hand, governments, including our own, provided huge amounts of money to the church or its NGOs and related entities. So it really depends on how you count it. But he did have a huge effect. For some, they were on the left. They said he was welcoming, but they didn't actually, much like in politics that you know, they didn't actually do things within the church to expand it, whereas the conservatives were put off, and it's usually the conservatives that do the work in politics and even religion.
Okay, one quick question before I take a break. So he lies in state. I guess he's lying in state now inside the church, but then he'll be in state at the Vatican tomorrow, and then
Funeral Saturday.
Through Saturday?
Funeral is Saturday.
Oh, the funeral is Saturday. Okay. And then there's like 9 days of mourning before the cardinals come together. Is that true?
Yes, they're all coming now. They're all getting on planes now. They will arrive. There is this 9-day period, and then eventually they will get into the conclave. And where 120 or so, depending on health, do get locked in a room, essentially. And vote 4 times a day, paper ballots, and if after a period of time, if they can't agree on someone, they limit it to the top 2, and after every ballot, they read out the names and how many votes each got.
Okay, so they do go public with that inside the conclave. So so it's a narrowing down.
Yes, eventually.
Eventually. Wouldn't you like to be in that room?
My mother wished I was a priest. I'll go that far with you.
Okay. All right, let me take a quick break. Check out Tom's website, tomdale.com. That's his website. But get a copy of his latest book. By the way, even Cardinal Dolan commented on this book and commended him on it. It's called The Lessons of the American Civilization. You may want to check that out as well. We'll be right back.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express. Breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
You feel most alive where you feel most at home. And this is living. Bobcat, the company that changed the way the world works, is coming home with a quality compact tractor built to match your quality of life. This isn't work you have to do. It's work you get to do. So get it done in a tractor that's all you. See your dealer or visit bobcat.com.
He couldn't detect two separate babies, like two separate sacs, for sure. And so he looked at me and said, "It's almost like they're conjoined." I was terrified. I was scared. That was a prayer that I also prayed, like, God, give me peace. Help me get through this, to know you gave me these girls, and you knew from the beginning they were going to be conjoined, and I trust you.
Watch the 700 Club, Tuesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. So honored and very timely to have back with us Tom Del Beccaro. He is the author of a book called entitled The Lessons of the American Civilization. Again, there's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen. Former chairman of the California Republican Party. He's also the author of some great books, The Divided Era, The New Conservative Paradigm. He's a columnist for Fox News, Fox Business, Epoch Times, and he's the publisher of thepoliticalvanguard.com. And Tom's website is tomdale.com. And again, just a little bit of a side note, his book apparently grabbed the attention of Cardinal Dolan. You got a call from him.
I did. I was on his TV show, which, to be honest, was probably the most nerve-wracking interview I've ever had. He is immensely knowledgeable, and he, of course, focused on things related to the church. So it was great, great interview.
One last question concerning the changing of the guards of the Catholic Church here, and especially at the Pope level. This is somewhat rhetorical, I guess, but can the church afford to take any moves further left?
No. At the end of the day, people would always return to Mother Church in history, meaning when the materialism or the riches fail to produce actual results, when the government promise of serenity on earth is laid bare and almost apocryphal, you have to come back to stability. And the further you move left, the less that becomes defined. Mm-hmm. And so the answer is, if they go farther left, they do it at their long-term expense. But last I checked, the whole point of Christianity and Catholicism was long-term.
Well, I say this respectfully. I'm not a Catholic. I'm an evangelical. But I have the highest regard for the church, and I really do hope that the church returns to its roots theologically. We need the Catholic Church to be the Catholic Church for a lot of reasons, most of which you've already explained to us. But in particular, if it wasn't for the Catholic Church and the pro-life movement, we would have been way upside down on that. They put their money where their mouth is and continue to do so. But
which, by the way, is the main reason the media attacks the church.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have been out front on that issue, as you point out. And so the way the left wanted to win that issue was to undermine the messenger and point out the inequities of man related to the church. But as I often say, Perry, if a mathematician commits a crime, does 2 + 2 still equal 4? Nothing any man does changes the message of Christ. And we may have fallible messengers. Of course, they all are fallible. But they attack the church because of its pro-life stance in order to defeat pro-life, not to defeat the church.
Yeah. Well, thoughts and prayers with you, friend, and I look forward to talking to you maybe even a little sooner than later as this process goes down the road here. All right, take that hat off for a minute. Put your former hat on just for a moment. I just played a video earlier this morning during our news segment that Steve Hilton is going to run for governor. Did you see his video?
I did not. Full disclosure, I have talked to Steve over the last year about his potential run. I have a new podcast, Politics in Perspective, which you can get at politicalvanguard.com. Right now, if you go to the page, you can see my interview with Sheriff Chad Bianco, who is a Republican running, and Steve and I are coordinating when I will interview him for related to his run for governor.
I'd like to get those contacts to do it myself. But what do you think about Steve?
Steve has a ton of energy, which I like. It's a big state. Steve has lots of ideas. He is his own man, his own thinker. And that's really important. He doesn't need a consultant to tell him what he should be thinking. So, and he doesn't freeze up. In the year he's been considering this, he hasn't moderated his message to the point of meaning nothing at all. Those are all good things. It's a tough road to hoe, winning in California, but California has bottomed out on a lot of issues. The voters are fed up on crime, on water, on homelessness. I don't know if you saw the headline this week that a third of the LA fires were started by homeless. At what price are they willing to continue to pay before they get rational about their elected officials?
Okay. Is this a Reagan-type moment for California? In other words, it's a crack in the windshield. Is this the election cycle that could replace it?
I've been talking 3 or 4 years about bottoming out. A lot of people have left California, as you well know, being one of the target states where they go. So that has made it more difficult. But when you say Reagan started in the 60s, was effective in the 80s. It wasn't overnight. He was not a one-hit wonder. He was not an overnight sensation. So is it a Reagan moment? Yes, but I'm not sure where on the continuum it is.
Okay. So how much more can California endure before they at least go purple?
That's a good question. If I make an analogy to Trump's fight with China, the socialist needs the capitalist. The capitalist doesn't need the socialist. The socialist needs to take the money from the capitalist or his products in order to survive and redistribute. So the Gavin Newsoms of the world who are begging the federal government for money because they're in debt need business. And The left is in the process of giving a big tax cut credit to Hollywood because Hollywood's leaving. So they occasionally understand economics. So these things are in play. And what it will take is a candidate who not only can reach the voters by having enough money, but presents that plausible alternative.
Is it true Hollywood pretty much gone?
No. Look, Warner Brothers is still there. Universal's still there. Universal has built out an enormous campus, if you will. And they're going to get these tax credits. And so they will still be there. However, if you look in northern Jersey, they're building a huge facility. Georgia has a huge facility. Austin, Texas, I believe, but in Texas, huge facilities. So the thing about movies is you don't per se, there's nothing geological about building it there like the steel mills or when Henry Ford started in Detroit. They could be anywhere, just like tech. So there is a limit.
So Gavin Newsom leaves the state really in shambles with every anticipation of becoming president. Does that get hung on his beak? California get hung on his beak or not?
Well, among Democrats, it's not what you do, it's what you say. So if he continues to say the right things for them, they'll ignore his record on the left. America potentially has moved on from such shallowness because they want jobs. California's actually lost 173,000 private sector jobs in the last 2 years. I'll say that again. The richest land in the world, arguably, has lost private sector jobs. Add that to everything else, and yes, I do think it gets hung on him if he gets the nomination. But keep this in mind about the Democrats. There'll probably be 25 people running for the nomination for the Democrats. In order to win, you only need, I'm not a math major, but 100 divided by 25 is 4%. If someone gets 15%, they're going to win a primary. And so he's a big name. Name ID matters. Money matters, as you well know.
Is Harris seriously being considered?
You used the word serious, so you put me on the spot.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. You're Tom. I'm not.
Politics has become, the pace of politics has sped up dramatically. Excuse me. Voters are very impatient. Your moment in the sun wasn't like Reagan, who did things through the 60s and 70s and came to fore in the 80s. So if you had to ask me, and remember, I'm the first person in the country to say she wouldn't enter Iowa in 2016. Was that when it was? Yeah. Was it 2016? That she would never wind up. No, it was 2020. That she wouldn't enter Iowa. I don't think she runs, to be honest. She will make noise, but she won't get anywhere, even if she does run.
Yeah, I think there's this hoping in her heart she gets drafted, but that ain't going to happen. So there was a headline the other day. It was interesting. It showed Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, and Gavin Newsom saying, "Let's move our party to the center. We need to come back to center." Now, you and I know that's just a ploy, but it's pretty big admission that they've gone too far left, don't you think?
Yes, I like that. I'm going to steal that and use it from now on. Thank you. It's very much. Remember when Reagan used to say that they'll campaign as center but govern from the left?
Right.
That's been true throughout all of history. Even, by the way, within the papal conclave, they present themselves as moderates, but will be different when they become pope if certain people like Caroline becomes the next pope. So That's not new. Yes, they do have this admission. Their problem is they're infected with socialism. And look, Perry, what's amazing to me is that AOC is running around the country and they can't stop her. Big crowds, lots of money. She has the best email list in the country. Bernie has the second best email list in the country other than Trump. So what are they going to do? They stopped Bernie twice before through procedure. She's going to build up quite a storm.
Okay, good stuff. One other last question back to the conclave. When the Cardinals go in there, are they handed resumes of potential candidates?
No, it isn't like that. But you bring up a very important issue, which is in the olden days, the College of Cardinals was small. They basically were in and around Italy, and they knew each other. The College of Cardinals today is much larger, and it's spread out across the world. And so they don't know each other as nearly as well, which is why some favor the Secretary of State, Cardinal Parolin, because he's traveled the world and probably knows people the best. He has the best, dare I say it, name ID. And so that does matter. But I don't know if you've been to the Sistine Chapel. It's not that big. 120 people in there for a full day. You get to know each other pretty quickly.
Tom, you're an inspiration and delight. Let me say to our viewers, check out his book called Lessons of the American Civilization. This is well worth the read. It's not a big book. It's really a lesson. It's a reminding lesson of who we are. So get a copy of that. Check out his website, tomdale.com, and you can order the book online. Thank you, brother. God bless you, pal. Let's stay connected.
All right. See you soon.
See ya.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
The National Religious Broadcasters 2024 TV Station of the Year Award winner, theDove TV.
Welcome back. Just wanted to take a few moments today to give you an update of our spring boost and say to all of you and so many of you that have responded, thank you so very much. We are gratefully and sincerely humbled by your support of this ministry. We are 85% of our goal and of this spring boost, and we're just asking you to help us with some equipment as we are in the middle of a major remodeling of our building. Being in here for 11 years, we are finally stopping and insulating the building, if you can imagine that, and putting some proper heating and air conditioning into the building, as it's been much needed. And then most of that was budgeted and the funds set aside for that, but we're asking you to help us with some very much needed equipment. And so our goal is $140,000, and we're about 85% there now. And some of this equipment, by faith, has already been ordered. Some of it's already been paid for and installed. Some of it's still coming. One of the things now that's so amazing is that we're dealing with tariff charges on some of the equipment. So I'm kind of facing the question, what do I do? Do I just stop and wait till the tariffs go away, or running the risk if they possibly go higher? And so tariff on some of this equipment coming from other countries, because a lot of this stuff is, is not made in the United States. It's kind of tricky. But we're 85%, and I want to say thank you. You can support the Dove in various ways. You can call at 541-776-5368, or safely and securely online at theDove.us. And that I say that safely and securely. And again, as you know, in supporting this ministry, we only ask you to do what the Lord's leading you to do, and do not take from your church. And I'm pretty adamant about that. And don't take from any other ministry that you're involved in. Support them first. But we're trying to make this building a little bit more efficient. I think we have Dan out there. Do we have Dan? You guys can put him up. He's out running around with his phone. There we go. So this is live this morning. We're in the stage where we had to literally insulate the walls. And right now, they're painting them. But this will give you an idea. So if you look up, this is a live shot, so it's happening right now. So up in the ceiling there, we still have insulation to put in the ceiling. And we have insulation to put in the big door that we have. That's yet to be done. But these walls, over the last couple of weeks, we had to put in insulation. We put in an air gap. All of this is not only for environmental control, such as heating and air, but it's also for sound control, because we are at the airport. And so what we're doing is we're flipping the operation. We're going to take the studios and put them at the south end of the building, which is a much quieter area in the building. And we'll be redoing where I'm sitting now. This will be done into offices, and this will be upgraded as well. So it's a big project. It's a huge project. It's pretty demanding, quite frankly. So that's what's happening out there. So they're painting those walls in the next couple of days, and then the insulation company will come back in and put the ceiling and the other door walls in. All of our cubicles have been torn down. Our staff is literally sitting on top of each other in various places while we go through this. But most of that has been budgeted. What we're asking you to do is help us with some equipment. And of our goal of $140,000, we're at 85% as of last night. So we are really, really grateful for your involvement. And let me just say this, folks. These are just tools. It's not the end game. Buildings and LED walls and cameras and lights and computers and switchers and audio boards and firewalls and all these things. That's the world we live in. We live in a very high-tech world, and all of this is just tools to do what God called us to do, and that is to provide for you reliable, faith-based programming that encourages you and lifts you, strengthens your relationship with the Lord, hopefully answers some tough questions, and gives you the hope and the inspiration that you need to carry on day by day. That's all it is. And our goal is to be on all the platforms, from radio to TV to digital. We're on streaming, we're on Roku, we're on Apple TV, all of those things. And of course, we're constantly looking for ways to expand our signal so that we can reach more people. And we want to be careful about that. But most of all now, being a good steward of this wonderful building and trying to make it work even better for us. So that's what this is all about. So as I'm speaking to you right now, literally behind me here, an airplane started up. So that's why we're going to be moving the studio to the other end of the building. But thank you. You can call anytime. 541-776-5368 is the number. You can go online at theDove.us. That's safe and secure. Again, don't take from your church or any other ministry that you're involved in, but if the Lord's leading you to be a part of what we do, your partnership makes it happen. Because of you, the Dove's programming is literally touching thousands of lives every hour of the day. And you make that happen. 84% of our revenue at the Dove and operating revenue comes from viewers and listeners just like you. So you're a partner in what's happening here, and I want to say thank you so very much from all of us here at the Dove. We are truly grateful and humbled by your partnership, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts for getting involved. So call or go online, whatever the Lord leads you to do, and only do what the Lord leads you to do. Thank you very much. Are you struggling to find loyal customers to grow your business? The people you want are watching and listening to the Dove right now. Hello, I'm Perry Atkinson. You know, the Dove offers your business a loyal and faithful audience, a safe and positive media platform to be associated with, reaching over 6 million customers daily. Find faithful customers, partner with the Dove, and watch your business flourish. Find out more. Contact Nancy Worth, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at the Dove today.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
God's eternal power and divine nature are seen in creation. But in a world blinded by darkness, the Life Outdoors is here to pull back the veil. The mountains don't lie. Truth leads to Jesus. Wake the wild within.
Here is an update on the Dove Spring Boost. Currently, we are at 60% of our goal to purchase much needed equipment for our station upgrade. Thank you for your generous support. We're not at goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back. Been looking forward to having Bill Walton. He's known as the Unwoke CEO. He's the host of the Bill Walton Show. He chairs the Resolute Protectors Foundation, which is a 501c3 media production company that creates and produces original educational and entertainment content. Former chairman of the Tea Party Patriots. He also led the agency action and landing teams for all the federal economic agencies for President Trump during his transition team. He does have a website called thebillwaltonshow.com, and there's a picture of the landing page there, billwaltonshow.com. Bill, good to see you. How are you, friend?
Oh, I'm great, Perry. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, Big question. And I say this not hopefully in the sense of being, disrespectful, but is the Democratic Party augured in so deep they can't recover?
Well, it looks like it. Their approval rating now is about 23%, depending on which poll you look at. And, there's a lot of infighting. And right now, according to Nate Silver, who's the pollster who really nailed the prediction on the presidential election in 2008, 2012. He was close with Hillary in 2016. And then, anyway, he's got a great record. And he's now predicting that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be the Democrat nominee in 2028. And I'm trying to decide whether that's good news or bad news. I think probably, given I don't think she's electable, I think it's good news for people who want to keep doing what we're doing with Trump.
All right. So can the DNC afford to advance her?
Well, I don't know. There is a question about who and what the DNC is. There are a lot of people who believe, including me, that the Democratic Party's got to rethink. I mean, what what Trump did with the coalition he built and bringing in Hispanics and minority blacks and other working class people is he basically took a lot of the coalitions or one of the groups from the Democrat Party and he hollowed them out, and they're not left with much except for the desperately poor and the outrageously rich on the East Coast and the West Coast. And so what do they have? And there's some thought that we might see, although political parties in the United States are extremely resilient, but there might be some pressure to see the Democrat Party split into a progressive wing and a moderate wing. Of course, if that happens, that reduces their chances of winning an election. But nevertheless, particularly the progressives, they are true believers. I mean, they are religious zealots when it comes to all of their agendas, climate, sexual identity, everything like that. So they may find that more appealing to go it that way than be practical and try to win an election.
Okay, because if they go clear over to AOC as being the candidate, which is obviously, and I say this, the radical side of the party, their message has to be something other than Trump's a jerk.
Well, I don't. Yeah, they think that's plenty. I don't know if you've heard about it, but AOC is out on a tour with Bernie Sanders, right. And they're calling it the Fighting Oligarchy Tour, and they're talking about oligarchy, and they're opposing it, of course, and they're for economic justice, and for them that means Medicare for all, college tuition for all, housing for all, and taxing the rich to pay for all this. That's their first plank, and then they're arguing that economics rights are human rights, on and on and on. All of which would if they implemented some of that, would wreck the country. But they're out there saying, and they're drawing their rallies are drawing 25,000 people, which is certainly a lot more than Kamala Harris or Joe Biden ever did.
So in the meantime, Doge is uncovering a lot of what the Democrats have been up to over decades, and we all know there's been fraud and fat and just really craziness with the operating of the government. And so their message is, we need more of that?
Oh, yeah. There's never enough of that. There's not enough USAID giving money away to Iran, to Iraq, to sponsor Sesame Street in Iraqi or promoting LGBT rights in Africa. I mean, they're all in for that, and I think we should be. It's a crime that we haven't spent that much money on that. I mean, we're going to stop spending money on that. And I live in the D.C. area, and the protests, they're out there protesting that these things that we think are complete waste, if not fraud, ought to disappear. They're on the opposite camp. I think Elon Musk, who I admire enormously, has run into the buzzsaw of the deep state. And in particular, they've found the federal appellate court's judiciary to back them up and to block President Trump's executive orders. And I think at last count, there were 55 or 60 actions by Trump to reduce the size of government and to right size it for the programs we really need. And those have been blocked by federal judges.
I was going to ask you about that because the injunctions keep mounting, and I don't know if the Supreme Court's going to pick all these up. They seem to be consolidating them, and the last three, as it relates to deportation, they're going to consolidate and hear the oral arguments sometime around May 15th, which, by the way, is 2 weeks past they close oral arguments for the season. But then recently they said, hold off, don't do anything, don't deport anything. And that's even divided to court. What's your 30,000-foot view of the judiciary these days?
Well, I'm worried. I mean, if you look at the Constitution and the document the founders wrote and their passion for separation of power, they never conceived that the judiciary would be making policy. They were supposed to be referees on the law, but nothing else, and that the executive branch was the one to drive the action, and it was going to be funded by Congress. And so what we've got now is a real bastardization of that, and it's and it's put the power back in the hands of now the Supreme Court. And you worry with a 5-4 majority on certain issues. You worry about John Roberts. You worry about Amy Coney Barrett, is how she's going to vote. And so, the way the country goes, the way the federal government goes, tips in the balance depending on how those two people feel that morning when they decide to write their opinion. It's put us in a position we should never be in, but there we are.
All right, so you have the executive, the congressional, or the legislative, and the judicial. Have those lines been blurred?
They're absolutely blurred. I mean, there was
Oh, we got a little bit of a static there, guys.
That
Okay. Okay. All right. That happens. Sorry about that. We'll see if we can get reconnected quickly. You may want to check out his show. It's called thebillwaltonshow.com. There's a picture of the landing page. And again, pretty experienced gentleman and how the system goes and works, as he was part of the agencies that worked with the President Trump's transitional team in coming into office. So he's got a lot to express and share with us. Again, that's called thebillwaltonshow.com. So did we get him or not, guys? I'm waiting to find out here. Okay. We don't have him. We lost him. Okay. Well, that happens once in a while. That's some of the equipment, by the way, that we're trying to replace. I think, did we get him back? Are you there, Bill? There you are. Okay, we just need the audio. We got him? There you go. Thank you. Sorry about that. You there?
Here we are. So where do you want to pick up?
I don't know. I apologize for that. Sometimes that happens. I guess the overall thing is, let me just come back to some basic things with you real quick here. Are you surprised at the speed of the action of the president?
No, I'm not surprised how quickly Donald Trump's moved. This is the way he likes to do things. What I am, I won't say surprised, what I am disappointed in is that after a lot of momentum in the first 60, 75 days, tremendous momentum, it all seems to be stalled out right now, and we're not seeing a lot of movement in some areas we'd like to see it. And in particular, I want to see some movement on the tariff negotiation. You were mentioning in your prologue or your introduction about issues with tariffs on equipment for your studio. Well, that's happening to everybody in every sector of the economy, and we basically have said we're going to negotiate individual trade agreements with 50, 60 countries, and we haven't concluded one yet. And I think we need to see, because the trade issue, the tariff issue, really looms over all the rest of Trump's agenda. So he needs to make that happen. And in that case, I wish he'd move a lot faster.
Steve Forbes yesterday spoke to that, and his comments pushed the market down pretty high. It came back this morning pushed the market down pretty low, but it came back pretty high today. But the bottom line is, even Steve Forbes is underlining what you're saying here, Bill, and that is, these things don't seem to be coming together quickly. I don't know where it is where you are, but we haven't seen anything but an increase in gas prices. Somewhere along the line, you would think somewhere about here, maybe here through July, all of these changes should produce better results, don't you think?
Well, I grew up in Indiana, and my parents and my grandparents, when we were at the table, would say, "Don't bite off more than you can chew." Mm-hmm. And I'm afraid that maybe in this case he's bitten off more than he can chew, and that you think about the trade representative's office. It's not big. There are not a lot of people in there, and they're used to dealing with one agreement at a time, or multilateral agreement, or working with WTO. They're not used to going at all speeds with Japan, with France, with Vietnam, China. I mean, it's a massive undertaking, and I hope we've got that staffed properly, because it's going to take some talent to make this happen.
Do you think he forces Chairman Powell out of the Feds?
Yes, well, I think that's his That's the mode he's in now. I mean, I find Donald Trump terrific, but I also find him infuriating sometimes because he does get sort of big guy mode where he calls decisions and likes to make things happen at his whim. And I think at some point, probably in the next month or two, Jay Powell's not going to reduce rates, and Powell's going to move, or Trump's going to move to fire him.
Why isn't Powell moving to lower rates? I mean, the Fed's. I guess maybe a question for you, Bill. Do we need the Feds? Do we need this?
No, we do not need the Fed.
Okay.
We don't need the Fed. The Fed's ridiculous. The Fed has you talk about mission creep. I mean, people think the Fed is about money, but they're now trying to help produce full employment, and I have no idea how money policy results in full employment. And in some of the more radical districts like San Francisco, they were pushing radical climate change and radical DEI agendas and CRT. And so they've got a big agenda that they've drifted away completely. And they've got 1,000 or so PhD economists from MIT, and they all agree, they're all Keynesians, and they all believe in, if you want the economy to go, you got to stimulate it. I also think that the Fed would tend to drag its feet with a Republican president like Trump, because I don't know the precise numbers, but I'd guess most of the people who worked at the Fed did not vote for Donald Trump. And so if they can slow down his agenda, I think they would do that.
Can the president fire the chairman or not?
I'm not sure. We didn't think that you could fire the head of the the Consumer Protection Bureau, the creation of Elizabeth Warren, and they went ahead and did that. And so there's some things they're doing which people thought they couldn't do, and they're going to let the courts sort it out.
Okay. Good to see you. Let me say to our viewers, check out Bill's show. It's called thebillwaltonshow.com. There is the landing page, picture of the landing page. You can check out the show there at billwalton.com. Good to see you, friend. Thanks for your time.
Great talking with you.
Okay, see you later.
Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue. At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm Guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
The Dove Spring Boost. Pray about helping us reach our $128,000 goal during our remodel. Thank you from the Dove.
Well, good morning to you. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove on this beautiful spring Tuesday morning. And the flowers are blooming and the sun is shining and Gary Bilden is here.
Good morning.
There he is, right there. Yep.
Yeah, we're all here.
Yep. Oh, hop along myself here.
Yeah, you know, once you get settled in, you don't want to move much, do you?
No, you don't.
Pretty good.
So, you know, are you going to have to learn how to walk again?
I'm already, well...
I mean, you're on crutches now.
Yeah, you know, I think there's going to be a bit of that process coming up, so... Yeah, Pam will stand in front of me and say, "Okay, come on, I'll catch you."
Oh yeah,
you remember those?
Oh, yeah.
With the kids, I'll catch you.
Yeah, just you're in the pool and she says jump.
I say how high. Thanks, man.
All right, good stuff all the way around. Good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. Beautiful weather. A lot going on in the news with the passing of the Pope and all the things that are going to go on at the Vatican over the next 2 weeks will be quite amazing, and we'll keep track of that. In the meantime, the world, as the stomach turns.
Yes.